energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Stirring fiber, exercising, frequent trips to the store for more laxatives and fiber. Sounds like your constipation with belly pain is a lot to manage. But if your symptoms that keep coming back are signs of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with a sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Okay, I have to tell you. I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the...
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your...
windshield wipers. eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
T-Mobile 5G home internet keeps getting better. Get our fastest connection loaded with benefits. Get T-Mobile's best home internet starting at $55 a month with auto pay and any voice line. Plus, Price Lock. We won't raise your rate on internet. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/home internet.
Exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Guarantees regular monthly rate plan price of fixed wireless 5G internet data with qualifying service. After $15 bill credit with postpaid voice line plus $5 a month without auto pay with debit or bank account. Regulatory fees included for qualifying accounts. $35 connection charge applies. Speeds vary due to factors affecting cellular networks.
Okay, I have to tell you. I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the...
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your...
windshield wipers. eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Planning to propose this Valentine's Day? Shane Company has your back. Our easy process to create your dream engagement ring is rock solid. 1, pick your ring setting. 2, choose your center stone. 3, personalize it. With our wide selection of beautiful settings and hand-picked diamonds and gemstones, all at competitive prices, your ring will be as unique as your love story. We'll hand-set your ring in our jeweler's workshop right here in our store and protect it with our free lifetime warranty. Walk in with a dream, walk out with the ring that will take their breath away. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Let's go!
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
NFL MVP finalists have been announced. One of either Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, or Lamar Jackson will receive the honor. Barkley, Burrow, and Jackson are also finalists for Comeback Player of the Year. The Miami Heat have suspended Jimmy Butler again for conduct detrimental to the team. This time, it's a 2-day suspension, and it follows him missing a team flight to Milwaukee. Butler's made it clear he wants to be traded before the league's February 6th deadline, but there hasn't been much movement on a deal between the Heat and Butler's preferred destination, the Phoenix Suns.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. from the Quantum Fiber studio
This is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now.
Coming up in 1 Hour NFL Network, and former Washington Husky Isaiah Stanback joins us to preview the conference championship round and also talk about what the Seahawks need to do this season. I think we all kind of know where the Seahawks need to start, though, and that is adding to this roster, filling in the holes that became so clearly obvious during the season. It was an interesting campaign. I mean, 10 wins, you don't want to look down your nose at it, but it felt like every single week there was some kind of flaw, some kind of issue that we felt with this game. None more bigger than offensive line. That's probably where we're going to start with this one, but we're going to talk for the first bit of the show here before we dive into some of the top stories around sports about whether the Seahawks have done enough to help Geno out. Now, if you're not necessarily a Geno person, I don't want you to just go, oh my God, all you're going to do is talk about how Geno doesn't have weapons and tune out. Because whether it's Geno or not, we're going to talk about whether this team is setting their quarterback up for success. So this is inspired by Ben Johnson, new head coach for the Chicago Bears, talking about quarterback success.
Modern football in the NFL is quarterback driven. That is no secret. You can look at analytics. Right now, quarterback success is a higher predictor of winning and losing than turnover ratio, which has been 20 plus years. Okay, that's changed.
That's interesting.
Very.
Quarterback success, a better indicator of winning or losing than turnover ratio.
I need to ask more questions. Like, what do you mean by quarterback success? Like,
Right.
break it down for me, because different coordinators have different ideas of quarterback successes. There's so much data out these days. You can find things to support and go against your argument. So I just went over the turnover ratio for the quarterbacks who are in the playoffs or that were in the playoffs. All right, got number one Lamar at 10.5, so he throws 10 touchdowns to 1 interception essentially. All right, you got Herbert at 2, 7.67. You got Josh Allen at 5. So I'm skipping the guys who were not in the playoffs. 5 at 4.67. Hurts at 3.6, Wilson 3.2, Goff 3, Darnold 2.9, Daniels 2.7, so on and so forth, all the way to Jordan at 20th at 2.27. All of these guys were in. So there were 14 quarterbacks that made the playoffs, and the guys who made it were ranked 1 all the way through 20. They're bouncing around a bit between there. Geno was 1.4, not even close to what these guys are. So there's a good indicator right there that there are only 6 other guys that were in the mix when it comes to turnover ratio that when compared to these playoff guys that were putting up decent numbers when it comes to that. Geno was outside the top 20, so there are other guys that are better than them. So I look at that and I say, I don't agree with you completely. That's why I need to ask more questions. I need to know, what else do you define as quarterback success? Is it completion percentage? All right, let's do that. If we go completion percentage, then yeah, Geno's right in the mix with these playoff guys. He's at 70%. He'd be the third best. He would have the third best completion percentage when it comes to guys in the playoffs. Golf at 772. You got Love all the way down at 63. And then I went back even further into history, even though the game is different in the 90s. And I'm like, all right, let's look at some Super Bowl winning quarterbacks and see what their ratio looks like. Troy Aikman, 1.17. That is worse than Geno, but we know he had Emmitt Smith. Mm-hmm. We know he had Michael Irvin. This great offensive line, and the game was just different. Aikman's worst year, he threw 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Then I went like to late 90s, early 2000s, and found Kurt Warner. Everyone knows Kurt Warner. 1.6. So Geno's hovering in between Aikman and Warner when it comes to turnover ratio. That's how I define success. And I think that your main job as a quarterback is to protect the football. If you're not protecting the football, then you're not going to give your team a chance to do some things, unless you are the Cowboys of the 90s when you have the greatest team of your decade in there. So there we go. That's why I need more questions. I want to buy Ben. What about the O-line? Ben, what about them tight ends? Ben, are you running play action? What are the numbers in play action that show success? Like, I have all these questions. I know it's deeper than what he just gave us, but it sparked a good conversation.
It's really, really fascinating, though. I mean, it makes me think of a quarterback that Ben Johnson worked with. Obviously, you look at Jared Goff throwing 5 interceptions, and still winning that game because the Lions as a whole were just a really dominant team. Now, that was also a great defensive performance by the Lions. They got some takeaways in that game. So even though they lost the turnover differential, like you can look at defensive reasons for their success. And technically with this open, we're talking about whether a team has enough weapons around their quarterback. I think I'd look at it this way. To me, anytime we mention Geno, who is a very polarizing player, there are naturally and very quickly reactions of either people standing up for Geno or people saying, find someone else. And that part of the conversation is completely moot. Like,
Yeah.
I think that if you're someone who says, hey, I really like Geno and I don't think he had enough weapons, then that argument is still there for you. But if you want someone else here, I don't think that person finds success as a quarterback until this team improves up front. So that, to me, is why this conversation is so important. And it's also interesting, as we kind of transition to the next part of this bump, where the Seahawks have found success with weapons. Because it's not like Geno doesn't have people to throw to. It's not like he doesn't have two good running backs in the backfield. I mean, this team and John Schneider in general have been pretty solid when it comes to finding good weapons. Like, they've not commonly been like an elite group overall, like an elite skill position group, but we're not looking at the Chargers. We're not looking at a team, like the Panthers were for a little bit, where people are going, who's he going to throw to?
Chargers still got in, though.
They did.
They did, and that's a result of their division as well. I agree with what you're saying, but I also think that, going back to how you started, I also think that there are quarterbacks that could have done more with what Geno had, even behind this offensive line. But these guys are already locked into 10-year contracts for $50,
Right.
$60 million. Right. So that is what someone is thinking out there. Well, if you had Josh Allen, what if you had a Jaden Daniels? What if you had a Patrick Mahomes and Lamar? Yeah, there's about 5 or 6 guys that could elevate this team to a different place. Everyone else, even Sam Darnold, who had a great year, even Jared Goff, throwing Brock Purdy, even Jalen Hurts, who's in the playoffs right now, I don't think they get on this football team and do more than what Geno did. Their numbers might look different. They might not turn the ball over as much as Geno did, but I don't think they're getting on this team and now you're winning 3 or 4 games off top, 3 or 4 more games off top.
Yeah. Where they have struggled, obviously, is the offensive line. Something you've pointed to, not just as part of this conversation, but a million times before. That was also with Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson played through it. They were able to win in spite of it. The most they've ever invested in the offensive line in terms of actual spending was in their Super Bowl year. I don't think that that's an accident. While I don't think the offensive line was by no means a top reason they were a Super Bowl winning team. Obviously, you look at the Legion of Boom and that defense overall, and then you look at Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson and the explosive plays they had on offense. It is not a coincidence that the best offensive line they've had in the last 10, 11, 12 years was in that Super Bowl winning season.
Yeah.
Best offensive line they've had.
Makes sense.
So I think that's where you obviously need to start. Like, if we have conversations about, hey, have the Seahawks done enough to help Geno out? Have they genuinely done enough? I think they've given him a first-round wide receiver, and that was a vote of confidence. They took an offensive tackle at number 9 overall. That's a vote of confidence. But it's not enough.
No, I think they've tried. That's the part that gets missed in all this, is that it's not like they're ignoring the line of scrimmage or the offensive line. It's not like they're going into these drafts and saying, nah, we don't need a guard. Nah, we don't need no tackles. Like the last 2-3 seasons, they've done that. The problem is they've just gotten the wrong guys. It's not like they've gone on during the offseason and said, we're not going to bring a veteran in. You have. You brought veterans in. You just brought in the wrong guys. So they haven't done enough in some areas, but I don't think it's from lack of trying. It's from lack of eval. It's from getting the right guys here. That's the part that's missed. I know you guys want to hold John accountable, and you should. This is his job to create this roster. You want to hold Geno accountable, as you should. It's his job to protect the football. But there are 2 stories to this, or 2 sides to the story, is that, all right, they have tried. They haven't done enough because they've missed on these guys.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. I think, too, it makes it clear what their top priority is for the offseason. Find those weapons then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look, they're going to look for a defensive-minded head coach, constantly improve the defense. But, Bump, I really like that multiple times over the course of the season, particularly after the trade deadline and particularly at season's end, you said, you know why, in part, we saw improvement on the defense? They made an effort to improve on the defense. It became clear that with the offense, they were like, these are the pieces we have. Figure out a way to make it work. There was no midseason trade deadline move to fix the offense. There was no, big trade before the start of the season to add to the offensive line. Like, there was no move made. It was just, we have enough faith in these pieces. Let's see what it looks like. And then it was on Ryan Grubb to try to save the day.
Yeah, and teams got to be willing to move pieces too. You know, it's not like you just say, why don't you just trade for this guy? Because that team might be asking for something that the Hawks aren't willing to give up. You know, it's not like you throw an offer out there and it's automatically accepted. A lot of you guys play fantasy football, right? Trades get rejected all the time. So I always reserve that the same way I do with the Mariners, because we talk about their offseason moves or lack of offseason moves, and we don't know what they've thrown out there, right? I'm sure they've tried something that's not sticking. They're not offering enough, or they don't want to give up something. I think that can be said with Seahawks as well. Someone has to be willing to trade with you. So if they have tried to trade some guys or get something over here, that means the moves just haven't been aggressive enough. So, but absolutely, they addressed that defense. They did everything they needed to do. Or maybe they looked at the offense and thought, we have enough talent on this offensive line. We just got to coach them up.
Mm-hmm.
We got to coach them up. So then that maybe links you back to why Grubb isn't here anymore. Maybe he felt like he wasn't coaching these guys up enough or getting them ready. There's so many ways to look at this, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what you said.
Yep.
Outside looking in, on paper, no. Not enough was done to support Geno, I think.
A couple people split on whether, again, any mention of Geno, even if that's not what this conversation is, will turn into whether or not you want Geno. But let's do a hypothetical here. Let's say that you're someone who wants them to draft Jalen Milroe. You want them to draft Jackson Dart. You want them to draft a quarterback, and ideally in your mind, they just kind of throw the reins to that quarterback and see what they have. How's that quarterback going to do on this offense if you don't have Tyler Lockett, if your offensive line is playing exactly the same? You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't get a run game going at all in the last 2 seasons back to back. You were like 28th in rushing yards per game or rushing attempts per game. Like, what changes? Is this quarterback so incredibly special? I mean, maybe he is. Maybe he is. Maybe he's Jaden Daniels 2.0. That would be amazing. But those seasons are typically statistical outliers. I feel better making sure that young quarterback then has the weapons and tools to succeed.
A mobile quarterback helps with the offensive line issues. It definitely does. It's simple observation. You get a young guy back there who can run and make guys miss, he's less likely to be sacked. But then you look at the Chicago Bears. They have a mobile quarterback over there, yet he was the most sacked quarterback in the game. So there's always, when it comes to these conversations about these hypotheticals about, well, if this guy was here and Geno was there, and if that guy was there and Geno was here, what would happen? We don't really know. We don't really know because there's so many other factors. There's play calling. There's chemistry. There's understanding of the playbook. There's so many other things that factor into it. Why do you think Sam Darnold had the season he had this year? Because he was in the right situation for who he is mentally, for his physical capabilities, communication with the offensive coordinator. He was in the right spot. So just to say that you bring a guy over here, plug in, and he's good to go, I can only say that for 5 guys in this league. Mm-hmm. Only 5 of them. And the 5th one just entered the chat, and Jaden Daniels. Everyone else, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Brock Purdy, I don't know. I don't think so. All right, but there's so many other things that have to go right. If you are not elite of the elite, you don't elevate teams like that. That's why quarterbacks get drafted 1 through 10 every single draft, because you're looking for that.
Here's what you have in store today. I know not everyone can sit with us from 10 to 2, which is a shame, really. I mean, not very dedicated, but whatever. I know that you guys have work. You have things that you need to do today. So
we can make it through 10 to 2.
If I can sit here from 10 to 2, you guys can sit here from 10 to 2. But I understand if you can't. So I'm going to tell you some things, if there are certain teams, certain topics you're interested in that might spark your interest so that you can kind of make some plans to make sure you tune in for that one or listen back on the podcast. We're going pretty heavy NFL draft conversations for the first hour, and that includes at 10:45 talking about what we got right and wrong about the 2024 draft class. Fascinating conversation. Jaden Daniels obviously leading that off. NFL Network's Isaiah Stanback joins us at 11. We're going to do just general NFL talk, preview the NFL Conference Championship rounds, obviously get his take on the Seahawks OC search. We've got a very fascinating story coming up about the NBA coming up at 11:30. We're also talking about the NFL making potentially the dumbest fine I've ever seen. That's coming up at 11:30. At 11:45, we're trying something new. It's Throwback Thursday. This is a take I'm convinced will make someone angry. Someone will write an email to our program director telling him to fire us for this segment. Throwback Thursday, the first edition, coming up at 11:45. O-line with Ray Roberts at noon. We're getting back to the NFL there. And then we're going pretty heavy playoffs for the rest of the day with a little bit of baseball talk in there. Right now, let's get to headline rewrites.
Extra, extra, read all about it.
Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number one, the Mariners lead all teams with 7 prospects on Baseball America's 2025 Top 100 list. What's the real headline?
Unfortunately, they trail every team in World Series appearances.
Oh.
So how do we flip that?
That's a problem.
I don't like that stat.
We've seen and heard this headline before, right? They've had some. I went back and looked at, can it hit like 2022? 2022 was Julio, Kirby, Hancock, Brash. Can it hit like that? Because after that, we haven't seen much. I guess the next best was 2024 with Emerson, Cole Young, Montez Ford, and Feline, I believe is the way he says his name. Yeah, could see Cole this year. Can it hit, though? I like that. I love preseason stats. I love accolades. I love recognition. But there has to be a follow-through. I was shooting hoops with my son yesterday, and he wasn't following through. He was coming up short. I go, hey, bruh, follow through. Net. Then he started hitting that thing. Follow through, Mariners. It looks good.
When's the last time you played Pop-A-Shot?
Pop-A-Shot. When's the last time I was at a dive bar? It's been a while.
What was like the score that you would typically get? Because I'm hitting right now around 35, 40.
35? I don't know. I know that I would advance at least 3 or 4 rounds.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you what my score was.
I was really proud. Derek and I played like just a couple days ago, and I never do this, but I beat him like 2 or 3 times in a row. And I was like, I'm an athlete. Like this, I am a baller. Anyways, that's completely unrelated.
You know there's a Pop-A-Shot national championship that aired on ESPN?
Yes,
Crazy.
I watched it. It's insane. And they're just, they're not even waiting. Back to the Mariners. I can be critical about this team, and I can be a negative Nancy with the rest of them. I totally get it. I will always heap praise on Jerry, Justin, and that front office for their ability to draft and develop, particularly arms, but they've been able to replenish this farm system not once but twice, over and over again.
Yeah, that's what they do.
I know. So their philosophy of we want to be a draft and develop team, they have the tools, weapons, ability to do that. The problem is they have not at the same success rate developed hitters, or they've just ran into bad luck with injuries, right? Kyle Lewis would have been a great position player. He's just constantly hurt. Evan White, same thing. Seemed like a really stellar first baseman, just couldn't stay healthy. So you ran into some bad luck there. You need to find a way to do something when that doesn't work, though. When you can't draft and develop, and when you have holes on your roster, you need to spend, you need to trade, and that's where they're falling short. So I understand my frustration for that. Sounds like it's being applied to the prospects. I mean, good for them, for these guys.
You gotta have a philosophy and be who you are. I understand that. But if your philosophy isn't working, you have to switch some things up. If I'm a football guy and I love to run the football and we can't run, I'm going to throw it. If I love to throw the football and we can't throw it, I'm going to run it. You got to be able to mix it up, and it seems like that hasn't been the case. But like you mentioned, they've had some unfortunate luck when it comes to some of these injuries. So, I don't know. We shall see. Thank you for the recognition, though. We appreciate it. Preseason.
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, longtime Cowboys reporter Clarence Hill says, expect Brian Schottenheimer to be hired as Dallas's new head coach in the next 24 hours. What's the real headline?
For first time ever, Jerry Jones doesn't make attention-seeking move. Like, Brian Schottenheimer?
Shotty.
I mean, cool dude. Found success here as an OC before, being kicked to the curb. Like, I have faith that he can, make some good stuff happen with the offensive weapons he has out there. This was not Deion Sanders. This is not prime time. This is not what I was kind of hoping to see.
No, this is in-house, and let's not disrespect Shotty. He's been a coordinator in this league for a while. Last 3 seasons, he had his offense at number 17 when it comes to yards, 5-17. Points the last 3 years, number 9, 2, and 26 this past year. This one was tough because obviously Dak was banged up. Takeaway, giveaway, 10, 5, and 21. They've been having some decent years with Schottenheimer, but I think that we expected something big. We expected a LeBron James type of announcement at the Boys and Girls Club. We will be choosing Deion Sanders to be our next head coach. This is not Jerry. So maybe this is good. Maybe he's taking a humble route and he trusts somebody already, and he's going to come in and do his thing. He's familiar with them. Not the move that we expected, but it's different. So I might be be buying into it because it's different than what Jerry does.
The Cowboys last year obviously fell short of all expectations, though a couple analysts we spoke to about midway point in the season when you can see there were serious problems were like, honestly, I think they overperformed last year. Do you think the truth is somewhere in the middle? Like that we can expect Schottenheimer, should he be head coach of the Cowboys, to see the Cowboys to a better record immediately in 25?
I mean, if Dak is available, if CeeDee Lamb's mind is right, if they find themselves a good run game over there. That was the thing, is the run game was hurting them a bit. And when you don't have your quarterback, that hurts. Maybe, man. I mean, give this guy a chance. He had them at the number 2 offense when it comes to points, number 2 and 5 when it comes to yards. So he's shown that he can work with the group.
Headline rewrites.
According to San Francisco columnist Tim Kawakami, the 49ers have discussed Pete Carroll.
What?
Yes, Pete Carroll as a potential defensive coordinator option. What's the real headline?
Look, Sherman KJ in 49ers colors is one thing, but Pete in the red and gold is a bridge too far for me.
A Golden Gate Bridge too far.
Hey!
As a Seahawks analyst and a fan, this one makes me feel a certain way. But the petty bump is like, oh, yeah, go ahead and do it, Pete. Like, if I'm Pete, I'm like, I'm going to go over to the Bay. You know, I'm from the area anyway. I got ties to the area. My boy KJ is over there. Me and him can work some things up. I kind of like the move, man. I wish the Niners were in a different division, but just looking at Pete Carroll and his situation, that's where I feel like the older guys really shine, man. Defensive coordinators. They know how to get their guys aligned and assigned and get them to execute. As a Hawk affiliate, I don't like it. But as just observer and analyst, I ain't mad at it.
Do you want to hear my hot, spicy take that maybe is problematic?
Let's do it.
I actually do think there's a little bit of ageism wrapped up in any critique or analysis of Pete Carroll.
Yeah, for sure.
I do.
Yeah.
And granted, age does eventually affect you, right? I mean, I have family members that I notice have changed, struggled with memories, struggled with attention as they've gotten into, let's say, like their mid-80s. Some people are still totally fine, but I think for some people, you know what I mean? Like that's, let's say like 81, 82, like that's kind of where it starts for some people. So I get it. Like I get why you look at a coach in his 70s and go, I don't know, man, I want someone that I can really like hitch my wagon to. But like, I don't know, man.
He's built different.
I don't remember thinking while Pete was here that he was ever not capable of building a culture.
Not at all. He's built different. He's sharp as a tack. He's good to go. I think if the Niners pick him up, good luck to the rest of the division because he got some talent over there. We know what he can do with a talented defense.
Washington's biggest night out for sports is almost here. The 90th annual Sports Star of the Year Awards. This studded event brings together the athletes and icons behind our favorite teams and unforgettable moments. So be part of history and cast your vote for the men's and women's Sports Star of 2024. This represents the best of Washington sports. You can also vote for Sports Story of the Year. Voting is open now through January 29th, so head to our events page at seattlesports.com/events and make your voice heard. The winners will be announced live at the 90th annual Sports Star of the Year Awards presented by Microsoft on February 27th. Don't miss out. Vote now and be part of the celebration. Coming up next, the Rams have something the Seahawks want.
The Hot Stove Show, Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m.
New Mariners hitting coach Kevin Seitzer just 2 years ago was the Major League Coach of the Year, now taking over as the hitting coach for the Seattle Mariners. When you look at this opportunity with Seattle, what excites you the most about being part of the Mariners?
Everything. Talented pitching staff, city that's ready to win, and hopefully we can come in there and help out a little bit and get us to the promised land.
Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason. The Hot Stove Show, every Tuesday leading up to spring training.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Whew, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist Scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Swedish Cyberknife has been serving the Pacific Northwest with innovative and compassionate care since 2006. The Cyberknife system, with advanced tracking technology and robotic design, keeps the radiation on target even with tumor or patient movement. Being able to precisely and accurately deliver radiation makes a difference in terms of controlling cancer and reducing the risk of side effects. And the treatment is completed in only 5 sessions, lasting less than an hour. But the technology is only half the story. The skilled and dedicated team of providers and caregivers match the technology by providing unparalleled, personalized treatment plans and compassionate care. They are committed to patient-focused care, partnering with the patient and their families. The results speak for themselves. Patient surveys consistently give Swedish Cyberknife the highest of rankings. When diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment with Swedish Cyberknife. Swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
If you're looking for a new Mazda, go see our friends at Mazda of Everett. With over 790 new Mazdas in stock at 11409 Highway 99 in Everett, they have something for every budget and credit type. Save up to $3,970 on new Mazda CX-5s. Come meet the team and see why they've been Washington's largest Mazda dealer since 2015. Exceptional service and always their lowest prices. Visit in-store or online at MazdaofEverett.com today.
In a sea of thousands of competitors, Riverside Roofing continues to stand out. And guess what? They got openings this winter for your roof project. Call 425-949-8252 or go to riversideroofingllc.com. The roofing company you can trust.
Breast cancer is a tough battle for anyone to fight, but without support, it can be devastating. I'm Dr. Suzette Miranda with Northwest Hope and Healing. We provide a lifeline to breast and gynecologic cancer patients in our community. Help us make a difference by joining us at Cork, Fork, and Support, an afternoon of wine tasting and community on February the 1st at the Hollywood Schoolhouse in Woodinville. Get your tickets now for February the 1st. Go to nwhopeandhealing.org to learn more. That's nwhopeandhealing.org.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
G. Scott here to share how you can help the Southern California Fire Disaster Relief Campaign to support communities affected by the Palisades, Eaton, and Hearst fires. Through January, you can make a difference by donating at your neighborhood Safeway checkout. 100% of your contributions will benefit food banks, shelters, and nonprofits providing essential aid, including food, shelter, and financial assistance for those impacted. Together, we can bring hope and relief to our neighbors. To support families in need, donate at your local Safeway today.
Hey, do you like spending extra money? Who doesn't, right? No, nobody does, and especially when it's on something like your utility bills, right? If those are noticeably higher in the winter or your home feels drafty, it could be because your attic and crawl space aren't properly insulated. It's Mike Salk here, and utility companies have special incentives to help with the cost of having your home properly insulated, including a once-in-a-lifetime rebate from Puget Sound Energy. So if you're a PSC customer and your home was built before 1990, you may qualify to receive a rebate on up to 95% of the cost to properly insulate your crawl space and attic. Yeah, they'll cover up to 95% of the cost. So don't wait. Take advantage of an incredible rebate today. Call Crawl Pros and learn what's going on behind that crawl space and attic hatch for free, and also what energy rebates you're eligible for. These guys are great. Did an awesome job at my house. So if you're worried about critters, mold, water damage, insulation issues, or anything else related to your crawl space or attic, schedule a free corner-to-corner inspection at crawlpros.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Bump and Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
I said the Rams have something the Seahawks want. I'm not talking about a particular player or thing. Instead, it's this. A lot of recent draft success. Bump, one of the most common things we hear when we talk about the draft or even about recent draft picks is critiques about John Schneider and this team's inability to really tap into a ton of draft success. And that could be people lamenting that they're spending money at their top wide receiver spots or at quarterback. It could be people wishing that, I don't know, Charles Cross and Devin Witherspoon were first-team All-Pros. I have no idea what it is, but I think people really would love to see a bit more in general from John Schneider's selections. The Rams have two players this year who are finalists for Defensive Rookie of the Year, defensive tackle Braden Fisk and edge rusher Jared Verse. I hate a tip-of-the-cap moment to a division rival, but Bump, let's talk about how quickly they rebuilt the defense and maybe what the Seahawks can learn.
Oh, they built it quick. It helps when your number 19 pick in the 2024 draft hits and Jared Verse, and then Braden Fisk hits with a 39th pick overall in the second round. And then you go to the year before that, you got in 2023 Kobe Turner, who was up for the same award that these guys were up for last year. You have Byron Young as well, a linebacker over there. So they didn't mess around. Their first two picks last year and then 2 out of their first 3 picks last year, they addressed the defense and got immediate production out of these guys. Now, if you flip it over to the Seahawks, Byron Murphy was selected 16th overall. I would say that's a success, a hit. He's not going to get the numbers that the other guys get. Then you also have Tyrese Knight, who I think was the sleeper pick, who was picked with the 118th pick in the 4th round. I think that's a success. The year before that, in 2023, you got Devin Witherspoon with their first pick, number 5 overall. I think he's good. Then you got Derek Hall, number 2. I think he's good. Here's the thing. They hit on some of their picks. It just didn't hit like the Rams hit on their picks because these two guys, that defensive line is something special over there, and they're going nowhere. They are extremely young. So it's like the Hawks hit you with a 1-2. And then the Rams hit you with a 3-piece. Bow, bow, bow. You know, man, it's different. They both hit, but the judges are going to give the Rams more points when it comes to scoring. You know what I'll give the Rams is credit when it comes to where they found the picks. Verse is the only first-round pick of this bunch at 19th overall. Fisk was a second-round pick. Cameron Kitchens, their starting safety, was a third-round pick. These are 2024 selections. Going to 2023, Byron Young, another starter, was a third-round pick. Kobe Turner, another starter, is a third-round pick. I mean, if we're going to have conversations about, well, the Seahawks don't lose enough to pick high, that's relevant, especially when it comes to quarterback, maybe a franchise left tackle, a premier edge rusher, something like that. But we can't constantly use that argument when it comes to not being able to just replenish, positions elsewhere. You don't have a bad offensive line because you rarely have top 5 picks. I'm sorry. That's not a great excuse. I will allow that not drafting high, because that ends up affecting every round you're in, does impact your ability to get premier talent. But I don't know, man. Another thing that I'm seeing stand out with the Rams selections is that they're seeing some nice return on later round picks, day 2, day 3. Those are the harder ones to evaluate, too.
Really hard.
Because, you talk to GMs and scouts all across the league, they say the first 15 or 20 picks, those guys are different. Then after that, it kind of all blends in. And I think now you have to lean on, that's why this OC pick is so important. Obviously, they're going to have the pick done before the draft, but you have to lean on your O-line coach and your offensive coordinator to find the type of lineman that you think can do what you're asking him to do. Offensive line is the hardest position to evaluate and to find those diamonds in the rough, for sure. With the Rams, I think they did a great job finding these defensive guys. To me, it's easier to evaluate a defensive lineman than it is an offensive lineman. Because defensive lineman, you're on the attack, you're aggressive, you can use your hands more, your leverage, you're bending the corner. With offensive line, hey, pass pro. Hey, just retreat. Or in the run game, you're pulling and you're double teaming. There's just more for a defensive lineman to show when it comes to athleticism than it is for an offensive lineman to show. So I think they did a good job finding those guys on defense. I haven't really dug into what they did on offense. They did have a top pick. What's the young man's name who we're seeing on the field this year? Steve Avila. Yeah. Avila, yeah. He's a starter for this team. Mm-hmm. So even with the offensive line, they were still able to sprinkle some guys in. This is where it comes down to the scouts, your GM, your head coach, and your coordinators. They all got to be on the same page and look for certain type of guys and hit with these guys. I think that's why we get a lot of texts from, the text lines, and a lot of people are putting pressure on John Schneider. And I get it, because ultimately the names that are called during the draft, people are going to look at him and say, okay, this was your pick. But in reality, there are other people who have influence in this. He just has the final say. He doesn't know every single player in the draft from every school. Like we talked to Jordan Reed yesterday. Like Jordan Reed, you can throw any name out there and he's going to be on point. He's going to know that's his job. I think it's John Schneider's job to look at the pool as it gets smaller. Okay, these are the guys that my coordinators like, my scouts like. Let's go in and look at them together and see which ones that we think are going to hit. But it makes you a bit jealous because something is going right over there with the Rams. They found some guys early. They found some guys late.
253 says, is it ever coaching instead of just draft luck? I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's that too. That's why in the first segment we talked about maybe Mike Macdonald felt that there were pieces here on this offensive line to execute, and they just weren't being coached up. They weren't being taught. They were not being developed. And when we see these picks during this draft, that's going to tell us or give us an insight of if that is true or not.
Yeah.
Because if they go like the first 3 picks and they don't pick up an offensive lineman, 1, people are going to be going crazy. 2, it's going to tell us that they think there's talent over here. But I guarantee you that's not going to be the case. They're going to pick up an offensive lineman.
Well, and look, my point of this segment, as someone else asked, is it possible that the Rams front office is just better than the Seahawks front office? I mean, sure, I think that's possible. But my point of this segment isn't to make that point. My point with this segment is to say, if I'm going to go into this offseason as a host, and one of the things I'm going to talk about is, hey, you got to turn this offensive line around. Like, you really need to replenish this offensive line and take a step forward. It kind of helps when you have an example of a team finding success in the draft all at once. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to hear someone say, well, all you need to do is this, and then give me no examples of someone else doing it. It feels more possible and therefore just more optimistic and enjoyable to watch when you know that someone else has done it. Granted, this is with the defensive line. The Rams lost Aaron Donald, and they knew that they needed to do something, and they weren't even the best defense in the league last year. I'm not praising them like they turned this thing around and became like the number 1 defense. But they did, over the course of certainly 2 classes, but most especially one draft class, find key contributors. I think the Seahawks could do the same. And to Bump's point, the Rams didn't do it with the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 overall pick.
The more I look at the picks that the Hawks had, like I'm looking at 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me when you think they didn't get a contributor, all right? You got Devin Witherspoon, JSN, Derek Hall, Zach Charbonnet, Anthony Bradford.
Good backup.
So it stops there. So essentially they hit on those 4. And we go to 2024. We go Byron Murphy, Christian Haynes. I throw my hands up. I don't know.
No idea.
Development. Tyrese Knight, I think so. A.J. Barner, development. I'm looking at those first, let's say, 8 picks, and I see one guy in Christian Haynes who I really don't know about. And if we go down to 9, Anthony Bradford, who we're guessing. And then I'm looking at the difference is the 3rd round is where the Rams hit. Right, Christian Haynes a pick in the 3rd round. We don't know yet about him. All right, 1 pick in the 3rd. And then you go 2023, they have no picks in the 3rd round. Now you got to wait until the 4th round. This is where it gets even harder. Even after the 1st round is hard, it's even harder when you got to skip around. You see all these guys flying off the board. The Rams gambled their future away and got themselves a Super Bowl and were able to rejuvenate, restock, whatever you want to call it, because of those 3rd round picks have been able to hit. That is the difference. The Hawks have to hit in those 2nd, 3rd, and 4th rounds.
Speaking of rookies, and you guys can participate in this segment, please do on the Mac and Jacks text line. We are 2 games away from knowing exactly how this season ends and from seeing whether or not a rookie quarterback is going to win a Super Bowl. So for now, let's take Jaden Daniels into consideration as we look back and see what everyone got right and wrong about the 2024 draft class. That's next.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
So we've been talking a lot about Clint Kubiak and Hank Fraley.
Every day at 7:45.
Why aren't we hearing their names elsewhere right now?
Yeah, I think that's a fair question. I don't think the decision will be one that's like, ooh, how will this look to others? I got a lot of confidence that Mike Macdonald could care less about the rest of that stuff. That when he's got a conviction and he's going to pull the trigger, it's going to be on exactly what he's looking for in that position.
Blue 88, answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
Hey, what's up? It's Michael Bumpus for Silver Reef Casino. The weather is changing. It's getting cold. The holidays are over. It's time for you to make some plans. You should make plans at Silver Reef Casino. The big game is coming up February 9th, and they got you covered. Try something different. Go to Silver Reef Casino. They have a big watch party. They're going to have great food. You can sit and talk to people who really want to watch the game. They're going to have a raffle. It's going to be a buffet. They're going to give away swag, but most importantly, the game will be on. If you are interested, go to silverreefcasino.com. That's silverreefcasino.com. You don't have to go anywhere. Once the game is over, you had a couple cocktails, go get a room. They got deluxe rooms with great views of Mount Baker and the Salish Sea. They got everything you need. And then if you're hungry, amazing on-site dining is there. They got something for everybody. So don't go anywhere after the game. Get your ticket, go get a room, and kick it there. Visit silverreefcasino.com. That's silverreefcasino.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
And this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to Lonnie. Lonnie, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
We've been with the same insurance company for over 32 years. And my husband said, come on, let's at least try it. And that was the smartest thing we ever did because we saved thousands, literally thousands a year on our insurance. They improved it. It cost me less, and it was a higher value. You know, I can't say enough good things about Scott because everything that he said he'd do, he did.
What do you tell your friends they can expect when they make the call to First Mark?
An easy, profitable, and actually pleasant call. They genuinely are trying to help you, and you can't beat that. We were silly to wait so long. A couple other friends that have called, too, they said, why didn't you tell us about this sooner?
You see, Lonnie did it. My family did it. You got to do it, and it's totally free. Go take the First Mark Challenge today. See how much they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
It's time to vote for the top athletes and sports stories of 2024. Be part of history and help choose the sports stars of the year from a knockout roster representing the best in Washington sports. Cast your vote for the sports story of the year. Was it the Seawolves playoff run, the Kraken making history, or UW rowing dominating the Olympics? You decide. Vote now at seattlesports.org and enter for a chance to see the winners announced live at the 90th Annual Sports Star of the Year Awards, presented by Microsoft.
Headed outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nellie on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on seattlesports.com.
Matt Coker here from West Coast Men's Health. Guys, if you're taking Viagra or any other pill for ED, I want you to ask yourself this question. Do I want to continue to do this for the rest of my life? If you're like most men, the answer is no. Here at West Coast Men's Health, we can restore blood flow naturally without pumping your body full of chemicals like you've been doing. Guys, you need to come in today and fix this problem now. Why are you putting this off? Viagra's not going to magically start working next week, and you don't want to use shots or go under the knife. Call us today and speak with our clinic manager. Ask him any question you like, how it works, the science behind it, and even the cost. Change your life today like the thousands of men who already have. If you're tired of dealing with ED or Peyronie's disease, then call West Coast Men's Health.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Start the year fresh with Washington Energy's New Year, New Home Sales Event. Upgrade and save 15% on energy-efficient Bryant heating systems for your home. Keep cozy and safe this winter storm season with 15% off Honeywell whole home generators. Prepare for spring with 15% off beautiful Anderson windows and reliable Simonton doors. All on sale now for a limited time. It's the New Year, New Home Sales Event with Washington Energy Services, bringing good energy to your home.
I want you to want me.
Muckleshoot Casino Resort welcomes Cheap Trick. Friday, February 21st at Muckleshoot Event Center. Over 20 million records sold, 5 decades of hits. Cheap Trick live, February 21st, only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort. Get tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Just spent the entire break responding to Paul Moyer's tweet asking for a breakdown of Blake Lively and Justin Baldona's lawsuit.
What's going on?
There are a few times that I feel like I'm the smartest one in the room. You know what I mean? I work with former players. Curtis, obviously you never played, but he's like an encyclopedia. Like there are a few times when I feel like I know more than everyone else about this topic. And this was my time to shine.
Okay. All right.
So I was like, Paul, you came to the right person. I'm going to break this down for you.
Break it down for me during the break. I have no idea what's going on.
I got you. Let's talk about what we got right and wrong about the 2024 draft class. Speaking of being the smartest person in the room, my favorite thing is that no one can predict what's going to happen with these things. And it's a very humbling experience to have full faith that a player will work out and then that player doesn't look great. Or the opposite, having full faith that, let's say Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the class, and then he's having maybe the best rookie season we've ever seen from a quarterback. Bump, what's something that you got right about the 2024 class?
Something I got right.
Something you got right. And I already have an answer for you.
Oh, you do?
Because I had that in mind when I was coming up with this segment. But what do you think?
You already got an answer for me.
I already have one for you. I should say, the answer I had for you was a prediction you had for the season.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Something I got right was that Marvin Harrison was going to be all right. Marvin Harrison was going to be fine. He didn't put up the numbers that Neighbors did or that Brian Thomas did, but there's no denying Marvin Harrison Jr. can play in this league. 62 catches, 885 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Had a game where he had 4 touchdowns. He will be a 1,000-yard receiver for the next 3, 4, maybe even 5 seasons as long as Kyler Murray puts the sticks down and picks the playbook up and really studies and makes sure he's on point. They are on to something over there in Arizona. They scare me a little bit. They got one of the best tight ends in the game in Trey McBride, who finally got his touchdowns late in the season, goes over 1,000 yards. I believe there's only like 3 or 4 tight ends to do that this year. But no, I felt that Marvin Harrison was going to be just fine in this league, and he's shown that he's exactly that.
I think what stood out to me was your prediction overall. This is kind of like a halfway answer about Chicago's draft class and Chicago's season.
Oh, yeah.
I think that Chicago, they take Caleb Williams, number 1 overall. Then they get Rome Odunze. They have, a nice offseason with a couple moves. And people were like, Chicago's going to go to the playoffs. Like, this draft class is impeccable. What they've been able to do is amazing. And you were like, I don't think they're touching the playoffs. I don't think they're going to be close to the playoffs. I think that they're at least a year away. And I was like, Bump, I think you're being a little harsh. I think you're being a hater right now. So props to you for being right about that one. I think that you were a fan of Odunze and a fan of Caleb, but you didn't think that either was necessarily ready to carry this team to.
Hey, but 2025, different year.
Different year.
Vikings, who's your quarterback? JJ, what's he going to do?
Exactly.
Green Bay, Jordan Love. Can you stop turning the dang football over? Lions, that window, you better put a stick in that window and keep it open because it is closing on you quickly.
I think everyone gets credit for being right about Brock Bowers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't go earlier. I mean, by virtue of his position, maybe we shouldn't be, but him falling to the Raiders ended up being a steal. First team All-Pro, over 1,000 yards. Obviously, their leading receiver, but one of the most productive tight ends in the league this year as a rookie. It's really a shame that he was with a team that couldn't get a quarterback to save its life because he had a special season. So I think kind of everyone gets points on that one.
Yeah.
You know?
We all felt that and saw that.
Yeah.
For sure.
I will get myself a knock for this. I thought Jaden Daniels would not be able to succeed on this year's Washington team. I thought they have a really shoddy offensive line. I liked their free agent additions defensively, and I was also wrong about that, in that I thought their defense would be interesting, intriguing, and I thought their offense would struggle, and their offense ended up being the stronger part of their team. I wasn't blown away by their hiring of Cliff Kingsbury, nor of Dan Quinn, even though I'm a fan of both. I just was wrong. I thought that that Caleb would be more NFL ready. I thought that maybe Bo Nix or Michael Penix wouldn't be starting, but by virtue of his age would be a little more ready. But Jaden surprised me. It's not that I didn't think he was talented, but I didn't think it was this.
I don't think anyone thought it was this. Maybe the people that are surrounded by him every single day in the Commanders building. Because after training camp was going out, we kept hearing about it. He's a great leader. He's on point. He's this, he's that. And you take it with a grain of salt. You're like, all right, but he's a rookie, though. He's a rookie. We don't see rookies do this. C.J. Stroud did it last year. There's no way we're going to have back-to-back rookies do some crazy stuff. No, I'm with you right there. I did not think Jaden Daniels. I thought he would be good. I didn't think he would be a guy that was going to be considered a bust after 1 year, but what he's doing now, nah, I didn't see that coming at all.
Were the Seahawks wrong taking Byron Murphy? I mean, I thought Byron Murphy would be more impactful statistically than he was this year. I'll give him that.
Well, here it is. Hindsight's 20/20, and people are looking at Dallas Turner right behind him, and they're looking at Jared Verse, a couple of picks behind them, and they're saying, why didn't you go that route? Jared Verse is an outside guy, an edge guy. You didn't necessarily need that. Dallas Turner the same way. Like, they went and got who they thought was the best available, and it just so happened to be that he filled a need. I think if Latu was there, they might have gone there. He was the first defensive guy taken. But no, Byron Murphy had a good rookie season. I think he got better as the season went along. He was banged up a couple games, but he's fine. Here's something I got wrong.
Yeah.
I thought that Fautanu was just going to kill it this year. I thought he was just going to kill it. He got banged up, only played one game. But still, I saw him sitting there, and I questioned if the Hawks should try to go for an offensive lineman and get Fautanu. Didn't work out. You can't control injuries, but that is something that I was wrong about. I thought that he'd kill it this year and be a dude.
I do really feel for him in that the number one fear people had, the one that made him maybe slip just a little bit, ended up being completely impactful for his rookie season, right? Like, it's always a bummer when people have health concerns about a player and then that player can't stay healthy or struggles with an existing chronic injury, and you're like, oh man, like, you hope that they can stay healthy and prove people wrong because it's so out of your control.
One more, Drake May. I was wrong about him. I see it now.
Oh, I was so wrong about Drake May.
Drake May, I see it now. At first, I'm like, come on, man. I'm watching him in North Carolina. I'm like, yeah, he's an athlete, cool, but I don't see what y'all see as the season went along. All right, I see it.
And the arguments were there, too. People were like, no, his final season, he had no weapons. And I was like, I don't care. He's trash. It's just, I was so wrong about that. I think a lot of people were wrong about Michael Penix's potential. You know what I mean? Like, I do think there's still a tiny existing stigma about lefties. I think that there is a slightly bigger stigma about older quarterbacks, and I think those two followed him into this draft. People thought, he's playing behind the best offensive line. Look at all these weapons he's got. These receivers we're currently drafting to these teams. And in his few appearances with Atlanta, he looks like he could be the real deal.
5 games, he looked good. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. 2 of his interceptions, for real, were on some crazy fluke stuff. Receivers catching it and tossing it up in the air. No, I think he's going to be just fine, man. 61 of 105, 775. I was excited to see him get in and make some of the throws we saw in Montlake.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else on the remaining quarterbacks? We never saw JJ, which is a bummer.
No.
I wasn't
Bo
blown
Nix
away
is
by
better
him,
than
though.
I thought he was going to be, too.
Yes, that.
I'm saying this draft class for QBs, they're going to carry the league for 15 years.
I thought Bo Nix would be kind of like a high floor, low ceiling. Like, with all of his experience, and he seemed like he could run. He could, like he'd been playing for a while, and you're like, okay, he can be fine for them, but he's not going to have the special moments that someone like Caleb could. Wrong. Dead wrong. I love being wrong when it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
When it's good 100%. Football. Coming up next, former Washington Husky and Good Morning Football host Isaiah Stanback joins us to preview the NFL Conference Championship round and tell us the one prediction he nailed this year. I can promise you didn't see it coming. That's next.
Ichiro is headed to Cooperstown.
The unbelievable has happened!
Celebrating the career of Ichiro Suzuki.
I may joke around, but I really think it's great that we get a chance to play together.
I agree.
I'm here to tell you that Ichiro threw something out of Star Wars down there.
He had the most unbelievable ability to put the bat on the ball.
And a ground ball back up the middle, and there it is! He's the new all-time hit king.
Join Seattle Sports in congratulating Ichiro Suzuki on a Hall of Fame career with your Seattle Mariners.
We at 3 Tree Roofing understand that your home is your castle. That's why our certified technicians use state-of-the-art installation methods to deliver the highest warranties available. Check out our hundreds of online reviews and schedule a free estimate to see for yourself. 3 Tree Roofing, your Puget Sound roofing experts.
Millions of Americans take medicine like Ozempic and Zepbound. Many of them are overpaying by thousands of dollars a year. These GLP-1 medications for diabetes, weight loss, and more may not always be covered by your insurance, but GoodRx can help. GoodRx helps you save every month on prescriptions at over 70,000 pharmacies nationwide. Best of all, it's free to use. Check GoodRx to save on GLP-1s. Just go to GoodRx.com/GLP. That's GoodRx.com/GLP. GoodRx is not insurance, but can be used instead of insurance, including Medicare and other federal and state-funded programs.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline nasal spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with available financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance, it's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hey, it's Shannon O'Kelly here from IRG, and Wednesday, January 29th, Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, is having a free live webinar to talk all about stem cell therapy.
I'm really looking forward to this live webinar to educate on how using your own stem cells can be an extremely successful method to help regenerate native tissue in rotator cuffs, meniscus tears, and reduce pain in osteoarthritic joints.
And which joints have you seen good success with?
Shoulders, elbows, hips, knees, even wrists and ankles. And in this live webinar, we'll tell you all about the procedure, how simple and safe it is using your own stem cells, and how we determine if you're a candidate.
Dr. Wagner has performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures. Are you in pain? Join the free live stem cell webinar Wednesday, January 29th at 6 p.m. and learn all about stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD. Register at drmarkwagnermd.com. That's drmarkwagnermd.com.
If you're looking for a new Mazda, go see our friends at Mazda of Everett. With over 790 new Mazdas in stock at 11409 Highway 99 in Everett, they have something for every budget and credit type. Save up to $300 $3,970 on new Mazda CX-5s. Come meet the team and see why they've been Washington's largest Mazda dealer since 2015. Exceptional service and always their lowest prices. Visit in-store or online at MazdaofEverett.com today.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
NFL MVP finalists have been announced. One of either Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, or Lamar Jackson will receive the honor. Barkley, Burrow, and Jackson are also finalists for Comeback Player of the Year. The Miami Heat have suspended Jimmy Butler again for conduct detrimental to the team. This time, it's a 2-day suspension, and it follows him missing a team flight to Milwaukee. Butler's made it clear he wants to be traded before the league's February 6th deadline, but there hasn't been much movement on a deal between the Heat and Butler's preferred destination, the Phoenix Suns.
Snapshot brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. You can see him on Good Morning Football, which airs Monday through Friday at 5 a.m. Pacific on NFL Network, and Good Morning Football Overtime, streaming Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Pacific. It's NFL Network analyst Isaiah Stanback. Isaiah, how's it going?
I am good. How about yourself?
Fantastic. I need to start. We are eventually going to get to the Seahawks, obviously, as a Seattle station, but I have to start by first giving you props. I checked out a little bit of research. I was going through your Twitter account earlier, just kind of find, things that might be interesting to you or the teams you're talking about. You called the Washington Commanders as a playoff team. Are you kidding me? I didn't think that they'd be anywhere near the playoffs. What did you see?
It's Dan Quinn. Obviously, I had time with him up there when I was in Seattle briefly, and then obviously my experience of covering the Dallas Cowboys down here for the last 4 or 5 seasons. Having an opportunity to work with him and be around him. He's just a leader of men. And he is truly a culture setter, and he is somebody that players love to play for. And that goes so much further than what people truly believe. People believe that once you become a professional athlete that you're so self-motivated, it doesn't matter who's influencing you, and it couldn't be any further from the truth. And Dan Quinn is somebody who was able to come in, obviously as a head coach, establish his culture, be supported by not only the general manager but the entire new, organizational structure there for the Washington Commanders. Everybody was behind him, and I know what he brought, and then from the executive team, what they were going to bring. I knew they were going to have success.
Hey, Isaiah, I look at the game today, and I think, man, I was born in the wrong era, man. They got slot receivers everywhere now, and then I thought about you, man, because I remember when you were at UW, it was dangerous every time you had the football, just your mobility. And then I look at just the conference championships, and I told Stacy the other day, this might be the most athletic conference championship we've seen at the quarterback position. Why do you think we're seeing more quarterbacks like the ones we're seeing this weekend?
I just think that it's being accepted now from the quarterback position, and that's taken generations of quarterbacks who have come obviously before that have established not only the abilities but have executed on their leadership, right? So you have the Warren Moons of the world, you have the Rodney Peets of the world, you have the McNabbs, right, and the McNairs, you have all these generations, Mike Vick, and it just continued to evolve, but it had to be those guys who literally laid the road for all the other quarterbacks to follow. They allow for this new age of quarterback to be accepted, because for the longest, if you were an athletic quarterback, and even I went through this in my time at the University of Washington through my 3 head coaches that I experienced, I had to fight tooth and nail to remain at the quarterback position because I was athletic enough to do other things. And it used to be criminal to play that position have the ability to help in other areas and choose to remain at that position. Now it's being highlighted and now it's being valued, and I love every part of it.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned kind of fighting tooth and nail for that and needing to prove it over and over, because it wasn't even that long ago. I'm thinking of, ironically, we're talking about Jaden, but I'm thinking of like RG3 back in 2012 or whatever. Yep. And the whole conversation was about RG3, Russ, Cam Newton, Colin Kaepernick at the time was. And obviously there's layers to this beyond just the type of quarterback, but it was, eventually they're going to get hurt, or they're just improvising. It's backyard football. And it feels like that slowly transitioned to a far more deeper appreciation of what a mobile quarterback can do that added a level of like just great football IQ to it. Is there a quarterback you think kind of a more recent one who could still be in the league? I'm thinking like Lamar maybe, that helped make the transition from it's seen less as just this fallback excuse and more as a great asset?
Yeah, I think Lamar is obviously somebody who's still doing it at a ridiculous level, who's seemingly about to be the 3-time MVP. Lamar still fights it. He's still having to fight on behalf of every other mobile quarterback, and he has to disprove every single year that what his abilities, what he possesses ability-wise, is not detrimental to the team. And I think you've seen him address that earlier in this season, where he referenced his mom calling him after a game and saying, "Hey, you need to run the ball more." Well, there's a psychology that comes with it when you're an athletic quarterback that says, "Well, I have to show them that I'm not just a runner, right? I have to disprove what everybody else says about me, and I have to sit back in this pocket." And you're fighting this internal battle between using your gifts and talents that God's given you versus being what everybody perceives you to be at that position. So I think it's an ongoing battle. I think it's been more accepted, but you still hear the murmurs of, he should have stayed in the pocket. Now you're hearing it with Caleb Williams. He's getting out the pocket too much. Okay, now which one do you want, right? Do you want me to be a threat? Do you want me to threaten the defense and use my abilities to make it more difficult for them to defend what we're doing offensively, or do you want me to be a pocket passer like the times before?
And what pocket with Caleb? Like, who's criticizing Caleb for running away from a 65th sack?
Yeah, I know. I don't know who could do. They need to do that in virtual reality. All these glasses that we have now, all these VR sets. Put somebody with that on and see if they can run around the living room and get away from defenders and see how that works.
And then we got Gino, who I'm begging to run some more. So, you pick your poison. Man, talking about just the Seahawks and Gino, what do you make of his season? Because we get a lot, Isaiah. I mean, we're on air every single day, and it's black or white. Either you love Gino or you want him gone. Me personally, I'm looking at the offensive line, the play calling, and I factor all of that in. What do you make of the season he had last year, and do you think the Hawks should roll with him?
You know what? I don't know where they stand with Gino. I think Gino has been inconsistent, and I hate to say that. I think he's fully capable of being a really good player in this league, but I think he would be the first to admit that his play has been inconsistent. Now, you can go ahead and back that up by saying, well, his offensive line has been very much inconsistent as well. But I agree with that sentiment, and I also agree that the Seattle Seahawks haven't had the offensive line that they needed to have since they were going to Super Bowls underneath Pete Carroll, when they had the highest salary for offensive line in the entire league. That's when they got away from investing in the offensive line. And since then, you've seen them kind of fill the gaps with guys who fit their budget. I think they need to get back to making that a cornerstone of their team. And I think that his play has suffered because of that. When Gino is under pressure, he's not like a Lamar Jackson. He's not like a Jalen Hurts, where these guys can still go out there and make plays and they have full confidence. He gets a little bit shaky with his footwork. He starts rushing. He starts getting inconsistent with his passes, and you see the downside of his play. And that's why I think you see this roller coaster ride in his performance. But offensively this year, I just think that they were not on one accord. I truly believe that they didn't have a true identity. Sometimes it was a pass, sometimes it was a run, but you have, three really good receivers in Seattle, and I think they were all, severely underutilized.
Is there a team around the league that has an offensive identity they've been able to establish that you just think like, man, they stick to this? Like, yeah, they can get away from it and find ways to beat teams, but you just really appreciate what they do offensively?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at Andy Reid. I mean, it doesn't matter who he has, weaponry-wise at the receiver position or tight end position. He's going to be consistently getting first downs. I mean, obviously you could say it's the genius of Patrick Mahomes. I don't care what you want to lay it on. Andy Reid has been successful everywhere he's went, regardless of who's been throwing the ball, regardless of who's been catching the ball. And I think that is an identity that he has, that if you give him speed at that receiver position and he can stretch the field, everything underneath is going to fall into place. And it just so happens that he's fell into some really good quarterbacks along the way and has developed some really good quarterbacks. He's not just getting that talent, but he's also developing it.
Hey, some fans out here in the Northwest are getting a bit impatient when it comes to the Seahawks finding their offensive coordinator. There have been some names linked to him, right? You got Kubiak, you got Fraley as well. Leftwich was here for an interview. Don't think they're going to go that direction. But, what type of offensive coordinator do you think fits? And if you have a name, what name do you think is the right one?
You know what? I don't have a name, and I think the offensive coordinator is more difficult to find than a head coach. I truly do, because a lot of times offensive coordinators aren't coming from team to team. They're usually being promoted from a position group, and a lot of times it's their first run at it, right? Sometimes it might be their first time calling plays at any level. So I think you never truly know what you're getting from an offensive coordinator unless they have come from that same position. And a lot of times that's not the case, right? You're developing somebody and they're learning on the fly. No organization wants to rest their offense in the hands of somebody who's learning on the fly, but a lot of times that's the situation you find yourself in. So I think that Coach O'Donnell, I think the direction he's going to go, I think he's going to go with somebody who is a run-first offensive coordinator, somebody who has that in mind. I know they're looking at the Lions offensive line coach right now. That's something that they're leaning on. But again, the conversation comes back up. Do they feel comfortable with somebody who's never called plays before? You have all these weapons at receiver. You can't just focus in on the run because you have a Kenneth Walker III at the running back position. What about the passing game? Is he creative enough there? Do we need to bring in a passing game coordinator? There's so many layers to selecting an offensive coordinator, and there's so many things that leave you with the bubble guts because you just don't know.
Do you see the Seahawks offense as being kind of enticing? Like if someone was like a pass game coordinator, O-line coach somewhere, do you see enough weapons, enough things to work with where you think like this could be tempting for someone?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the pieces that they have in place there are absolutely insane, but I still think that they're going to have to personnel-wise, Schneider and everybody else going to have to figure out what they're doing with that offensive line. Yeah. It doesn't matter how much talent you have at the skill positions. If you don't have an O-line, you can't run the ball and you can't pass block. So that's something that has to be addressed. And again, you look back at the offensive lines that Seattle has had, they haven't been solid and stout since the Super Bowl times. And again, the amount of money they were spending at that position then to ensure, protection of Russell Wilson and ensure that Marshawn was able to get the holes, that mattered. And it gave them an opportunity offensively to do whatever they wanted, and they've gotten away from that. So, yes, the personnel-wise, it is very enticing to have a three-headed monster at receiver, to have a two-headed monster at running back. There's a lot of really good, athletic talent, but can you protect and can you create holes so that you can utilize these guys? If it were me, I would get somebody who specializes in the passing game and then hire an offensive line especially somebody who's either an offensive line coach or somebody who's a run game specialist to focus in on that, because I think it's easier to find somebody who's really good with run blocking schemes than it is to find somebody who's creative enough to create a passing game for an offense.
Hey, the NFC West is an interesting place, right? You go into the season and the Niners are expected to win. They get banged up. Rams start horribly. They get hot. Arizona starts hot. They're up and down. And then the Seahawks are up and down as well. What do you think the future of this division is? When you look at next year, do you think that it's going to be extremely competitive? Do you think a team is going to run away with this? What do you see?
Yeah, I see the entire division bouncing back. I think this is a very much so down year for the entire division. Obviously, I think Seattle's going to be competitive. McDonald's going to get that defense figured out. I think they're going to be more confident in that system. They'll figure out the offense because there's just entirely too much talent offensively for them to not be productive. So Seattle will be in the conversation. The 49ers are not going to stay down for long, right? You caught them in a down year. They had a lot of injuries. They had a lot of turmoil in the locker room. That's going to get figured out. John Lynch will get that worked out. Sean McVay in L.A., you saw how far they went. That defense is looking nasty, and they're going to continue to find ways to add offensive prowess as well. And the Cardinals are getting more confident. They're getting more more aggressive in their offensive approach, and their defense is really starting to show up as well. So the entire division is going to be competitive. I think this is just one of those anomaly down years for them collectively, but I don't foresee that remaining the case.
Obviously a good year for the 4 remaining teams in the NFL playoffs. Isaiah, who do you got in each of these contests?
You know what? I think that the Eagles, that was my choice from the get-go. I just think that they have entirely too much talent on both sides, and they really own the trenches. You know, going back to my comments in regards to Seattle's O-line and the defensive line presence. You know, obviously, they traded for Leonard Williams because they know the importance there in Seattle, but they own the line of scrimmage in Philadelphia. So I don't foresee anybody beating them on that side. Obviously, Washington Commanders have a really good defensive line, but I think that their offensive line will get exposed in this game. When you look on the other side, I think Buffalo will finally etch out the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Kansas City Chiefs have done a heck of a job just simply because they have some veteran players who know what the heck they're doing, and they have an amazing coach. But I think game planning can only go so far. I think Buffalo has a lot of weapons all over the place, and they're going to be able to cap it off. So I foresee the Eagles versus the Bills. When it comes down to that matchup, that's going to be nasty. I think it really depends on how healthy Jalen Hurts is going into that game if they get to that point.
Man, it'd be so sad if the Bills get to the Super Bowl and lose again.
Oh, God.
Five of them things.
Facts. At least it'll be indoor, though. They'll be indoors, so it'll be good.
All right. He is NFL analyst Isaiah Stanback. Check out Good Morning Football every single weekday morning. Thank you so much, Isaiah. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate y'all. Y'all be good.
Let's get to 4 Down territory.
This is 4 Down territory, going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down. Whose mentality and legacy could take a hit early in their career if they don't get a win on Sunday?
This is early. You can change your legacy and change your mentality, but this will be a tough one, and it's a tough task. But it has to be Josh Allen. If he does not win this game, he will go 0 for 4 against Pat Mahomes in the playoffs. During the regular season, he's good. He's 4-1 against him during the regular season. He's the only quarterback to beat Pat Mahomes 4 times. In the regular season, Mahomes has more picks thrown than him. He's been sacked more than Josh Allen. Then you get to the playoffs, Mahomes has more touchdowns than Josh Allen, 0 interceptions. If there was a time to beat the Kansas City Chiefs, it is right now. And it's crazy we're saying that when Josh Allen's team doesn't have the sparkle that it has had in the past, and neither does the Chiefs. They got some guys over there, but it's like this is the most blue-collar matchup we've had between these two teams in the history of them playing against each other.
Most quarterback focus.
This is the time. If Josh Allen does not get this win on Sunday, he'll be fine. He's still going to be considered a great quarterback. He can still change the way we think of him. He can still go on retreats and get his mind right. Before 6 to 7 months, this one's going to hurt because the time is now to beat the Chiefs.
Second down. What's a theory about the draft that was proven last year, and do you think it will be true this year?
Your first 15 to 20 picks are balls. And I'm looking at the first 15 to 20, and all of these dudes played and contributed to their football team. There's maybe 1 or 2 that played maybe 8 games instead of 10, 11, or 12 or whatnot. But you got obviously Caleb Williams, you got Jaden Daniels, you got Latu going towards the end now. You got Jared Verse. Faltano was hurt. He's the number 20 pick. But, yeah, it's getting real over there. And I think that this year there will be some type of drop-off. This is early into my draft analysis. I haven't watched all these guys play, but I've seen most of these guys play. And it just ain't hitting the way it did. And the main reason why it's not hitting is the quarterback position. You had 5 guys drafted in the first round. I predict 2 guys being drafted in the first round. Obviously, Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Then after that, I guess Jalen Milroe might be in the mix. But after that, man, I'm saying it's not as thick at the quarterback position. I think that is what boosted that first 15 to 20 picks in last year's draft. There still are some ballers out there. I like Will Johnson, the corner out of Michigan. I like McMillan, the wide receiver out of Arizona. I also like, obviously, Ashton Genty. They got him projected to go to the Bears. But I just don't see the top 15 and 20 hitting like it did last year, mainly because the quarterbacks aren't there to support it.
Third down. Other than taking care of the football, how can an OC help Geno improve his game?
All right, so I'm looking at Geno's charts, and where he struggled the most, throwing to the left side, intermediate, right? So you got to find a way to make that more comfortable. When you're right-handed, throwing left is obviously going to be hard. You got to open that shoulder and throw. But there's a stat that I found that I think an OC can help. So when it comes to passes of 30-plus yards, Geno is 17th. When you look at that number, 30-plus yards, there are no concepts that get you to 30 yards, essentially. All right, 30 yards is that weird area.
They don't have that 30-yard pass.
No 30-yard pass.
I got my back pocket
You
as
can
an
throw
OC.
a go, you can throw a post, and you're going to land around 35, 40 yards. You can get some run after the catch. So the 30 yards, to me, when I see that stat, that means there's a lot of run after the catch happening. Because especially when you look at the guys who are leading the league in 30 yards, Brock Purdy's not launching that thing like that. He can push the football down the field, but it's the run after the catch. It's the crossing routes. You got Jared Goff who leads in there as well. You got Bo Nix as well. You look at their offenses, there's a lot of crossing patterns that get these guys open, which allow them to run after the catch. So I'm not knocking Geno, oh, you're not hitting the 30-yard mark. That just tells me that an offensive coordinator needs to find ways to get their ballers the ball in space so they can run and pick up some yak and pick up some yards and take some pressure off of Geno. So it's that, right? Getting guys open so they can run with the ball and then hitting the left side of the sideline. That's one area where he struggled the most besides turning the football over. And OC has to come in and get our ballers the rock in space.
4th down. Isaiah Stanback joined us to begin the hour, talked a little bit about the Seahawks, looked at the conference championship games. Anything stand out from that interview?
Yeah, so I asked him about the offensive coordinator position, and he says, look, you're probably going to get somebody who is learning on the fly. And I think that is going to be the most common situation unless you are an offensive coordinator who's been fired or a head coach that's been fired. So if you're getting someone here who's learning on the fly, I think that scares Seahawks fans. But I also think that they're going to go with someone who's established. But if you do go with someone who's learning on the fly, you're going to ask this fan base to be patient again, right? To lower your expectations just a little bit and allow Geno and this offense to get going, which I think is a dangerous place. I like Fraley. I like Kubiak. Those are my two. Kubiak has done this before. I've been yelling his name at the top of Mount Everest for the last week or two. I think that's going to be the guy. But I like the way he put it. He says, look, whoever you bring, they're going to have to learn about situations, about what they would like, what they don't like, and then you have to create your staff, which I think is harder than what people think. So, yeah, that stood out to me. He thinks that it's going to be someone who's never called plays before, never been in this position. I respect it. I think they're going to go with someone who's established, but it's going to be interesting, and I'm tired of waiting. I want to know who the guy is already.
I'm really glad you said that because, I know that part of being a sports fan in general is that things are interesting to you and sometimes the same things over and over. You don't just suddenly lose interest because it's not there. But, oh, my God, can there just be a hire? I just want someone to talk about. We know the candidates. I don't know that anyone's going to jump out of left field and surprise us. Maybe so. I mean, maybe. But I'm just ready to kind of, get this show on the road. Get the OC in here so that we can kind of look at what he's done before, start having conversations about what the offense could look like here. And also get yourself time you didn't have last hiring cycle.
Yeah.
The one thing that we kept hearing is Grubb was hired pretty late in the cycle. McDonald was hired not late, but he didn't have as much time as he'd normally like.
This is what I think. You're not allowed to really talk to coaches who are in the playoffs right now, right? But there has to be a way to do it. There has to be a middleman. Just like the way guys are exploiting the portal and having friends talk to players before they enter the portal to make sure that they have a spot to stay. The longer they wait, the more I think they're eyeing someone who's playing right now. How are you getting in contact with these guys? Don't tell us, though, Mike, because I don't want to get you in trouble. But there has to be some type of communication.
I don't know if you guys knew this, but someone didn't vote for Ichiro for the Hall of Fame. I don't know if anyone talked about it.
Has that been talked about?
I don't think anyone's covered it yet, but someone didn't vote for Ichiro. Someone also asked Ichiro about that at the Hall of Fame press conference in Cooperstown. His response was pretty funny. That's coming up next.
The Hot Stove Show, Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m.
New Mariners hitting coach Kevin Seitzer just 2 years ago was the Major League Coach of the Year, now taking over as the hitting coach for the Seattle Mariners. When you look at this opportunity with Seattle, what excites you the most about being part of the Mariners?
Everything. Talented pitching staff, city that's ready to win, and hopefully we can come in there and help out a little bit and get us to the promised land.
Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason. The Hot Stove Show, every Tuesday leading up to spring training.
So here's the deal with Mariners season ticket memberships. You've got two great options. With a Flex membership, you have the freedom to pick your seats, games, and number of tickets whenever you want. Or, if you like knowing where you're sitting all season long, go with a Reserved membership and lock in your seats from day one. Both plans get you access to exclusive pre-sales, year-round discounts, special event invites, and more. Check it out at Mariners.com/25.
Now Raleigh wins it in the 10th inning for the Mariners. We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with available financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance, it's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Progressive presents a testimonial of sorts.
Hey, slow down!
Oh, yeah? Well, you drive like my grandma. She's a very attentive and courteous driver who wears a seatbelt and always uses her turn signals. Well, she's also a talented painter and has very low cholesterol. Not that that has anything to do with her drive. We just thought a more complete picture of who she is might be interesting. Anyway, have a nice day.
Safe driver? Get Snapshot from Progressive and get a personalized rate based on how you drive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
Okay, I have to tell you. I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest. The last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying. Just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
Hey, it's Dave Wyman with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, from Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Dr. Wagner is hosting a free stem cell webinar Wednesday, January 29th to explain stem cell therapy.
I'm really looking forward to this live webinar to educate on how using your own stem cells can be an extremely successful method to help regenerate native tissue in rotator cuffs, meniscus tears, and reduce pain in osteoarthritic joints.
And which joints have you seen good success with?
Shoulders, elbows, hips, knees, even wrists and ankles. And in this live webinar, we'll tell you all about the procedure, how simple and safe it is using your own stem cells, and how we determine if you're a candidate.
Dr. Wagner has performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures. Are you in pain? Join him Wednesday, January 29th for the free stem cell webinar and learn all about this amazing procedure. Register now at drmarkwagnermd.com. That's drmarkwagnermd.com.
At O'Neill Plumbing, we've been exclusively plumbers for over 100 years. No corny mascots, no out-of-town owners. Just clean, fast, and professional plumbers out to your home fast. All rooter and all trenchless. O'Neill Plumbing.
The Southern California Fire Disaster Relief Fund is now taking donations to help the victims of the devastating fires. You can help by donating at your local Safeway checkout today.
This is Matt Coker from West Coast Men's Health. I'm proud to let you know that nationwide, our clinics have a 4.7 out of 5-star rating on Google. This tells you that our patients are really seeing results. Here's what some of them are saying. The results are close to phenomenal. On top of that, the staff and the scheduling are top-notch, and my technician is a consummate professional. Another patient said, I called numerous clinics, and West Coast was by far the best. The other places wouldn't give me any information over the phone, but West Coast answered all of my questions. My wife and I were skeptical, but we've already noticed the difference. This was a game changer for us. West Coast Men's Health has helped thousands of men reverse their ED using acoustic wave therapy. No pills or shots necessary. Give us a call today so we can help you too.
With clinics in Redmond and Tacoma, call 206-519-6541. That's 206-519-6541. 206-519-6541. Online at westcoastmenshealth.com.
Storms can be overwhelming, but you're not alone. We're here 24/7 to secure your home and give you peace of mind. Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors here. From your roof to your siding, windows, and deck, we'll handle it with care and get your home back to better, quickly and safely. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today. We're here for you when it matters most. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
State Roofing, the last roof you'll ever need.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
This is The Timeline
with Bump and Stacy.
Brought to you by 1-800-DUI-AWAY.
It is The Timeline on Bump and Stacy. We are going to start in Cooperstown, where Ichiro, newly inducted into the Hall, was asked about the one voter who did not vote for him at the Hall of Fame press conference. He gave a pretty funny response through his translator.
I was able to receive many votes from the writers and grateful for them. But there was one writer that I wasn't able to get a vote from. I would like to invite him over to my house, and we'll have a drink together, and we'll have a good chat. Very, very grateful to be here, and thank you.
Tell him, Ichiro. Just come on over. Why don't we sit down and talk about it?
Yeah, I don't bite.
Yeah, let's have a drink.
I have a great hospitality. No, that's the only way to really get through this if you're Ichiro. Just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Everyone knew he was going to make it. We're just looking for some prestige. We're looking for something to be done that's only been done one other time. So to get through it, you go ahead and make a joke of it. What I did love about his press conference was when, I forgot who was talking, but Ichiro was holding in tears. Like, you can tell how much it means to him that his number is going to be retired here in Seattle. That was I love the human emotion when you see someone and they're vulnerable like that. And then we heard a lot yesterday about his personality or sense of humor. There's a perfect example.
Yeah, and I that's a really good point too, because it's like Ichiro knew he was going to be inducted into the Hall. Ichiro knows how much he matters to the Mariners. Ichiro knew that his jersey would probably be retired, but maybe hearing it from the Mariners when they announced that, like, that moment hits
real.
you. Like, you are one of the most famous people in not one but two countries.
Yeah.
You know? And you're still touched by a moment of recognition.
Man, I got my jersey retired at my high school and I was fighting back tears. Could you imagine? One of the greatest of all time. Like, I don't know how he held it together.
Next up, Texans running back Joe Mixon was fined $25,000 by the NFL for post-game comments following their loss to the Chiefs. So the league fined Joe Mixon for saying, quote, "Why play the game if every 50-50 call goes with the Chiefs? Those officials are trash and biased." The problem is Joe Mixon didn't say that. So Joe Mixon actually said, quote, "Everybody knows how it is playing up here. You can never leave it into the ref's hands. The whole world see, man." So he's saying...
That's not finable.
It's not. He's talking around the idea that the refs played a factor in a game and that can typically be the case at Arrowhead. And he's saying, you know how it is here, and you don't want to put the game in their hands. Everyone saw. He's not saying it directly, though. Very much talking around it. The line that they're finding him for was actually something tweeted by TJ Houshmandzadeh. So there was, I think what the NFL saw was the Sports Illustrated article that had TJ's tweet embedded, and then it quoted Joe Mixon, but it said at one point, he said, and then TJ's tweet. So I don't know, someone with the NFL read that article and thought that Joe Mixon said this. And then the NFL corrected it. They were called out, obviously, by Joe Mixon and his agent being like, we're going to appeal this. And they were like, oh, so sorry. We're just going to fine you for what you actually said.
No, we'll fine you for that anyway.
Mm-hmm.
This is when you don't read a full text and you just respond so quickly.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, no. That's not what I meant. That's what I meant. Oh, actually, let me rewrite this. Let me edit this, unsend, and get this thing right. No, the NFL, it's not a humble organization. They do send letters to coaches privately when they mess up. So, we got this call wrong, but we're not going to come out publicly and say we got this call wrong. This is standard practice by the NFL. So next time, NFL, make sure you do your homework and get this thing right. I don't think what he said is finable.
No.
Everyone know how it is playing up here. You can never leave it into the refs' hands. How many times have we heard that in post-game?
Yes.
You can't leave it up to the refs.
Yep.
You got to go out there. You have to make plays.
Yep.
This is them being cowardly, low-key, saying,
yes.
Oh, no, actually, the fine still stands because our feelings are hurt by what you said. I've heard this said so many times in post-game, standard practice, NFL. But here's the thing. We still watching on Sunday.
Of course, because it's an amazing product, and they know that. Now, to be fair, not like in their defense per se, because they were fundamentally wrong, but Had Joe Mixon said what TJ Houshmandzadeh tweeted, that would be finable.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because you cannot call out referees. You cannot.
No.
And if you said these officials are trash, the NFL would be well within its rights to fine you.
Yep.
So I can see how someone with the NFL read that, and if they thought it was Joe Mixon, said, oh, easy fine. Put that in the mail. Its stamp's already on. Let's send that out.
Yep.
To your point, the NFL can never admit when it's wrong.
It's not what they do.
There have been so many times when someone says, man, it felt like we were playing against two teams today. And because they talk around it and didn't say it, they weren't fine. I've heard that so many times.
Yeah. He did it strategically.
Yeah.
It was the right way to do it.
Absolutely ridiculous. Next up, I'm going to go NBA, and then I've got some Netflix news. Jimmy Butler is making his intentions pretty clear when it comes to his status. Trade me, please. So the latest. The Miami Heat last night suspended Butler for 2 games for a continued pattern of disregard of team rules, insubordinate conduct, and conduct detrimental to the team. That includes him missing the team's flight to Milwaukee. That was the latest issue with the team. He had just returned Friday from a 7-game suspension for multiple instances of conduct detrimental to the team. This behavior is not normal, so what's it really about?
Not only did he miss the flight, he told them he wasn't going to do it and chartered his own flight. This is the second time he's done that, apparently. He's getting paid $48 million this year and is en route to make $52 million next year. Jimmy Butler has been one of the stories I loved initially in the NBA. Coming up from Chicago, sleeping in the car with his mom, and just the ascent that he had has been awesome. But now he's bouncing around, man. He is bouncing around. This is a bad attitude. I'm hearing from the players, the quotes from the players is making it weird in the locker room, on the court. He's only averaging 13 points per game the last 3. He's clearly not locked in. Why would anybody want this on their team? When Jimmy is in a good place, he's one of the best in the game, top 20 easily. But this ain't a good look, man. And there's another angle to this as well. I heard Stephen A. say this morning. What about Pat Riley? Like, why are stars wanting to get out of there? It could be a different story with Jimmy and with LeBron or whatnot. They're not getting the talent that you would assume Miami could get because, let's keep it real, people aren't fighting tooth and nail to get to Milwaukee. They're not fighting. I mean, it's a good program over there, but it's the social, right? It's the stuff off the court which really attracts these players. Why isn't Miami able to get like some just dudes? So there's 2 sides to the story, but the way Jimmy is handling it does not make him attractive to anybody.
Well, and unfortunately, I think that the way Jimmy is handling it is what turns off so many former NBA fans, right? And there are times when, like, I'm not even a massive NBA fan, and there are times when I just kind of still will defend it and be like, well, there's so much talent now, and, it's important for players to be able to have a say, and I know it can be annoying, but, like, there's never been more points scored. Like, you can find, like, arguments that you try to make. But this is exactly what some people hate about the league, is they hate when guys demand things, take over a team, have like diva behavior, whatever phrase someone will use. Jimmy Butler is unfortunately right now playing into that. He's an exceptional talent. Like, I get it. You have the star power to, have that kind of demand in the NBA. Like, in today's NBA, he qualifies as the group of players that can do that. It's just like, even as someone who's typically really pro player, it's kind of hard for me to see and watch. Like, it feels so in your face.
Nah, the NBA is the biggest diva league in this world because there are only 5 players on the court at one time. And 2 players, you got 2 or 3 players that can affect the game and win or lose a game for you. And Jimmy Butler is one of those guys. And it's a horrible look for him and for the league. This is why, one of the many reasons why people here in Seattle don't watch the NBA. Curtis said this. He was like, man, Seattle fans have no idea what they're in for once Seattle does get a basketball team. The culture's different than 2007.
You're not ready
it's going to be very different.
And you're not seeing those baseball contracts. So
No. You're seeing guys making $15, $20 million that play like 10 minutes a game.
Yeah. Speaking of the NBA, Netflix has announced a docuseries called Court of Gold, which chronicles the 2024 Paris Olympics men's basketball tournament.
More and more people know what's coming from France.
We've played together for 10 plus years. You guys show up for 3 weeks.
Oh, okay. All right. That chemistry gonna help you when you got guard Steph?
KD. That docuseries is going to be released February 18th.
I love that. He didn't make it about him. He made it about Steph.
I can respect it.
And then what happened? Steph went off in the final few games of that. I love that.
Yeah. All right, coming up next, are all-time great quarterbacks the ones who win championships or the ones with the best stats? We're trying something new next. It's Throwback Thursday.
When you're running the hurry up and don't have time for your favorite Seattle sports shows, listen to the podcast on demand. How about that? Unbelievable. Who would have thought? Every hour, every interview, every look behind the scenes.
He is your new Seahawks head coach, Mike McDonald.
We want to play a certain way, and you're just going to chisel away at it every day.
Find us on seattlesports.com, the Seattle Sports app, or wherever you get podcasts.
All signs continue to point to it being the right hire.
Never miss a minute of Seattle sports, the home of the Seahawks.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC now recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
Are you tired of having your money locked up in an annuity for 5 to 7 years? A CD that is only paying 4 to 5%? Or how about that underperforming IRA that you've lost track of? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. Our Legacy Northwest Fund is a 9% fixed income fund that only requires a 2-year commitment, and we are now opening our flagship fund to new investors. Legacy's Northwest Fund has had excellent performance with 0 investor losses for 16 straight years. I challenge you to find a better fixed income opportunity in the marketplace today. Come join the over 1,000 local investors with over $200 million invested.
Legacy's Northwest Fund is now open to new investors and paying 9%. Invest smart, invest local, invest with Legacy Group Capital. Visit LegacyG.com. LegacyG.com. Legacy's Northwest Fund is available to accredited investors only and paying 9% APR. Terms and conditions at LegacyG.com.
This might be the most surprising statistic I've shared in decades of doing local news. More than 75% of commuters will be involved in a car accident at some point. JP Pendergast of Pendergast Law with more.
What makes it more surprising? The average person will be involved in 3 to 4 collisions in their lifetime.
With accidents unbelievably prevalent, what are some safety tips if it happens to you?
Safety first. Secondary collisions are not uncommon while awaiting help. Turn on those hazards and remain in a safe place. If a bystander witnessed the accident, capture their information and encourage them to remain at the scene. Seek medical attention immediately if needed, as delaying can be a costly mistake. Lastly, remember that statements made to police and insurance adjusters can affect your case.
Collisions are more common than we'd like to think. If you find yourself in one, follow these helpful tips and then call my friends at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one's injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
PendergastLaw.com.
It's time to vote for the top athletes and sports stories of 2024. Be part of history and help choose the sports stars of the year from a knockout roster representing the best in Washington sports. Cast your vote for the sports story of the year. Was it the Seawolves playoff run, the Kraken making history, or UW rowing dominating the Olympics? You decide. Vote now at seattlesports.org and enter for a chance to see the winners announced live at the 90th Annual Sports Star of the Year Awards, presented by Microsoft.
Heading outdoors or on the water this weekend? Check in with Joey and Nelly on the Outdoor Line from 6 to 8 a.m. every Saturday on Seattle Sports and the Seattle Sports app.
The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Hello. Welcome to the Lee Johnson Auto Family. This is King. This organization's a special one. They call it the Lee Johnson Auto Family, and it's not just a name. It's not just some cliche. They foster an environment for us to become a family, to work together, to really become close. And they show us in a lot of different ways that they do value us. Is it perfect? No, no place is. But I've been very thankful to be here in the almost 10 years and have every plan to stay here for a lot longer and just watch it continue to grow.
He's fun and professional, which explains why so many people visiting Lee Johnson Kia ask for him by name. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Tingling and numbness or burning pain in the feet or hands are warning signs of peripheral neuropathy. For years, Sound Pain Solutions has helped thousands using our innovative narcotic-free approach. Now we're excited to introduce our most powerful treatment yet. I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic physician and functional neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We've discovered a new bioelectrical treatment that produces remarkable results. Studies show 85% of neuropathy sufferers report a 50% reduction in pain. Our new therapy can reduce pain and regenerate damaged nerves, is performed by medical providers and naturopathic physicians. It's a breakthrough treatment that has changed the lives of thousands who suffer from nerve pain. At Sound Pain Solutions, all our therapies are non-surgical, FDA cleared, and narcotic free. Learn if you qualify for our new neuropathy treatment. Schedule a free consultation by visiting soundpainsolutions.com. soundpainsolutions.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
What makes an all-time great? That's exactly the question that we're asking right now. Are all-time great quarterbacks just the ones who win championships or the ones with the best stats? Center to this argument and why it's Throwback Thursday, a question discussed by many fans over time. Is Troy Aikman an example of an overrated quarterback? Troy Aikman is a quarterback who doesn't have like all-time great numbers, but in terms of accomplishment, an all-time great resume. Is he overrated?
Here's my pro argument.
Okay.
6-time Pro Bowler, Super Bowl MVP. My man plays the toughest position in sports. In my opinion, the toughest position in sports. And he was able to get it done. Through 91 through 1996, he was a Pro Bowl guy. We know they won 3 Super Bowl championships. In 1993, he led the league, completing 69% of his passes. When you break him down like that, Troy Aikman is a Hall of Famer. Now my argument against him. My man in 1996 had 12 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. In 1995, he had 16 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. In 94, he had 13 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. In 93, 15 and 6. 92, 23 and 14. 91, 11 and 10. All Pro Bowl years. If he were to put up those numbers right now in Seattle, Texans would be saying, get rid of him. I don't care if the offensive line hasn't performed well. And here's the thing. He had one of the greatest teams of all time.
Right, they were running the thing.
Emmitt Smith, you got Irvin. That offensive line was good. I mean, they were solid as heck. And I think that time has something to do with this as well. The era has something to do with it. But I'm saying, if you're throwing touchdowns, what I had the stat, his touchdown to TD ratio was 1.17. So pretty much every other throw, every other touchdown, you have an interception for it. You break it down like that, it doesn't look like he's a Hall of Fame type quarterback. But winning Super Bowl matters. And he won a Super Bowl MVP, and he did it during a time where we're not getting the numbers that we have today. He is a tricky one because if you win, you're in. That's how you got in.
Yeah. Well,
but 6 Pro Bowls, though, straight, and those numbers, that's what baffles me.
I didn't, like, the numbers are not numbers that anyone would be impressed with by today's measure. Look at Lamar Jackson's season of, 41-4? 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, what Josh Allen has done this year, what Patrick Mahomes seemingly does every year, not even an MVP finalist. Troy Aikman, this sounds blasphemous, and this is why I like this concept of like a Throwback Thursday examining kind of like past greats. Troy Aikman would not hang with the best quarterbacks in the game today.
No.
Like, he does not have that skill set. However, he clearly succeeded in his own time. And I'm like, part of me does think like, yeah, overrated. Like, we see him collectively as a football audience as an all-time great, but if you make a statistical case, there are so many passers that had better career numbers but you can't overlook the Super Bowl wins. You can't overlook the super teams that he was on. I think he was a product of being on a championship team, a good quarterback on a great team.
Troy Aikman in 1994 threw 13 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, was a Pro Bowler. That same year, Brett Favre threw 33 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, did not make it, and threw for more yards than he did. That same year, Jeff George threw 23 touchdowns, 18 interceptions, more yards than him, better completion percentage, did not make the Super Bowl. The leader that year when it comes to yards was Drew Bledsoe, go Cougs, 4,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, 27 interceptions. He made the Pro Bowl. Steve Young was the MVP that year, 35 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He made the Pro Bowl. In 94, they were kind of like, what do we do? Guys are throwing the football. Like, we're starting to see numbers that we haven't seen before throwing the football. Do interceptions mean as much? Because clearly they don't. Drew Bledsoe threw 25 touchdowns, 27 interceptions, and made the Pro Bowl that year. So I think they didn't value the interception as much as they do now. And I think that maybe because during that era, you just started tossing the ball around.
Yeah, you weren't as accurate.
They were like, hey, you're not going to be as accurate. We'll take whatever touchdowns you can get. The value on interceptions isn't that much. Troy Aikman was the 16th leading passer in the game, and he made the Pro Bowl. Boomer had more yards than him. Craig Erickson had more than him. Jim Kelly had more. Stan Humphries, Randall Cunningham, Joe Montana. Joe didn't make the Pro Bowl that year. So the 90s were weird, man. Joe had 16 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, and didn't make the Pro Bowl. Better than Troy Aikman.
Okay, so that's what I do want to throw in, because you're going to get people, like someone said, like, well, it was a different era and you can't compare eras, which, yeah, you can't directly compare eras, but you can talk about them, right? Like, if we're going to talk about, like, I miss the physicality of the older NBA and these players today are divas. If that's comparing eras, whether you like it or not, you're just comparing things that you liked about an older era.
Yeah.
So if what we're comparing about with eras now is saying, Bump is saying they didn't value interceptions as much as they do today. You could be less accurate and still be productive. You ran the ball way more. Defenses played differently. Like, things were just different back then. They didn't pass nearly as much. They didn't have quite the same offensive concepts. Like, of course there are differences.
Yeah.
But even within Aikman's era, there were some passers who were better. It's just fascinating to me. I mean, speaking of how the game has changed, I remember when what Drew Brees was doing blew my mind. Like, I remember when Drew Brees regularly completing over 60% of his passes for a single season. I was like, whoa, this is crazy, you guys. We had a sharpshooter. And now we're talking about 70% to get performance bonuses.
And to Aikman's, like, I get to support him. The fans have a vote in the Pro Bowl, right? And he's won a Super Bowl or two by 94. He's cemented as one of the great ones. Once you win a Super Bowl or you've been selected to the Pro Bowl, it's almost like automatic unless you have a horrible type of year. But I still think fans in the NFL were at a stage when it comes to throwing the football that they weren't quite sure where the value should be placed. Nowadays, we know what we're doing, at least better than back in the 90s.
Yeah. Someone said, two people massively disagreeing with the point. They said if you took Aikman and planted him in today's NFL organizations on those offenses, he'd have better numbers. I mean, clearly, like, he'd have more passing attempts. You just fundamentally he would. Would he be the most accurate passer in football? Why would I believe that? Like, why would I think he would suddenly, like, he could turn into Patrick Mahomes just because he's an all-time great NFL player? I'm not taking away from his greatness or his accomplishments. I'm just saying, like, I think that there is a supremely talented collection of quarterbacks that we're seeing right now in the NFL, and we haven't quite seen quarterback talent like it. And I'm fascinated by the way that the NFL has evolved. Our bar of greatness has massively changed.
And I'm also saying he wasn't even the best during his era. Like, he wasn't. I went back the previous year. Let's look at that year, 93. He makes All-Pro. He's the 10th leading quarterback when it comes to yards. 10th. And he made All-Pro. 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He wasn't even the best during that time. Troy Aikman, better athlete than I've ever been in my life, okay? Super Bowl MVP, All-Pros, all that good stuff. But there's some bias that really happens. And I understand the Cowboy bias now. Imagine it back then when there was no internet and it was just the Cowboys. Like,
yeah, they're the best, okay?
They're the best because I said so.
But also they legitimately were. So any argument about, like, well, if Troy was on today's teams, he had one of the best teams of all time.
That's why he's a Hall of Famer.
Some of the best eras, some of the best Cowboys teams of all time that we've ever seen.
Yeah.
He was part of those teams.
So he's a Hall of Famer, and he did win those games.
I just love this conversation.
Yeah.
I love it as an idea for Throwback Thursday. And I also like the idea of, look, sometimes there are greats that we'll never see again. It goes the other way. You know what I mean? Like, the point isn't always to say, like, anyways, guys are better now. Let's go on to our next. It's just re-examining some of our favorite players, some great players, guys that we, see as all-time greats, and then just kind of wondering, like, what would they be like in today's NFL, or how has the NFL changed? Love this conversation. Ray Roberts joining us next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Brock and Salk.
When you think of Ichiro Brock, the first thing that comes to your mind is?
A hit machine, and the fact that so many kids, but for those of us that grew up in the Pacific Northwest in the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and enjoyed wiffle ball, and to think you could go from the kind of junior wiggle, and then you got Ichiro and all of his mannerisms and tucking his sleeve up. I mean, just two of the iconic players to ever play the game of baseball, and they were right here in our backyard. Pretty special stuff.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Got neighbors? Big Trees can help. This is Nancy Penrose, owner of Big Trees in Snohomish. If you've been considering planting trees to add privacy, look no further than Big Trees. Privacy trees fill in empty spaces, help to define property lines, and add curb appeal. Learn more about Big Trees' big supply of privacy trees at bigtreesupply.com.
G. Scott here to share how you can help the Southern California Fire Disaster Relief Campaign to support communities affected by the Palisades, Eaton, and Hearst fires. Through January, you can make a difference by donating at your neighborhood Safeway checkout. 100% of your contributions will benefit food banks, shelters, and nonprofits providing essential aid, including food, shelter, and financial assistance for those impacted. Together, we can bring hope and relief to our neighbors. To support families in need, donate at your local Safeway today.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and Clear Skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Right now at Wendy's, get 2 of these fave items for just $7. The spicier classic chicken sandwich, Dave's single, or 10-piece nugs. It's an incredible deal, but an insanely difficult choice. Do you go double chicky sando, both spicy and classic, 1 beefy and 1 chicky? Or maybe you go all in on 1 and go Nug Max. 2 faves for just $7? Gotta be Wendy's.
At participating Wendy's for a limited time only. Select a request 2 for $7 deal to redeem. Not valid in a combo or with saucy nugs. Single item at regular price. Prices may be higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. An important message about your timeshare from Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group.
If you receive an unsolicited phone call or mail piece to discuss selling, renting, or especially canceling your timeshare, don't fall for it. Contact your timeshare resort or Wesley Financial Group for assistance, and I'll send you our timeshare exit information kit free with the straight facts about timeshare cancellation.
Call 800-292-7788. 800-292-7788.
Hey, it's Dave Warman with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD from Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Dr. Wagner is hosting a free stem cell webinar Wednesday, January 29th to explain stem cell therapy.
I'm really looking forward to this live webinar to educate on how using your own stem cells can be an extremely successful method to help regenerate native tissue in rotator cuffs, meniscus tears, and reduce pain in osteoarthritic joints.
And which joints have you seen good success with?
Shoulders, elbows, hips, knees, even wrists and ankles. And in this live webinar, we'll tell you all about the procedure, how simple and safe it is using your own stem cells, and how we determine if you're a candidate.
Dr. Wagner has performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures. Are you in pain? Join him Wednesday, January 29th for the free stem cell webinar and learn all about this amazing procedure. Register now at drmarkwagnermd.com. That's drmarkwagnermd.com.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO AM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
NFL MVP finalists have been announced. One of either Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Jared Goff, or Lamar Jackson will receive the honor. Barkley, Burrow, and Jackson are also finalists for Comeback Player of the Year.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time. From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bump and Stacy
on Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go next. Getting back to the Seahawks with Ray Roberts joining us now on the Emerald Queen Casino Sportsbook Hotline. Hi, Ray. How's it going?
Oh, it's going all right over here on the other side of the country, visiting my three older sisters and getting to be the little big brother for a little bit.
It's always weird, that time change. I mean, granted, like, you're familiar with East Coast road trips, I'm sure, Virginia and stuff, but I only recently went to the East Coast for like the second time ever, and I kept calling family and friends accidentally like 5 in the morning. Like, I'm so sorry. I was just calling while I was going to get coffee.
I haven't been back in a while, so I had to keep telling myself that when Bumpus called me, it was going to be 3 o'clock and not 1, because I was like, oh, shoot, it's 1 o'clock. Like, you know. I
gotta go. All right, Ray, I'm going to start where I typically do for the huddle, but it's also because it's the Seahawks' greatest need in the offseason, and that is the offensive line. I've been seeing a few people texting in over the last couple weeks saying they felt like the offensive line really took steps forward, and maybe it's not as bad as everyone thinks. Is that something you saw?
I think they took some steps forward, but I also think that that they kind of took a step back on their own, on the offense's own accord. It wasn't like they took a step forward and then started playing bad. I think they took a step forward and then just didn't stay in that step. And they thought like, oh, well, let's take a step to the side and do this stuff over here. When they should have just kept going forward with what they had after the Arizona game at Arizona. I thought they had a great formula for what the offensive line could do and what they felt confident doing. They did a lot of the between the tackle counter game with that in that game, and it also allowed for better pass protection for Geno, gave him a better pocket, and he could pass off of play action, throw the ball less than 30 times, and no turnovers. And that was the formula I think they wanted to play with, and then they got away from it. And so I do there was some progress there, but then they took themselves out of moving forward in that.
Hey, Big Ray, I think that anybody who wants to be an offensive coordinator, the hardest part about it is learning the box, right? The offensive line, the run games, the pass pro, and all that good stuff. That's why I look at Hank Fraley, a candidate for this situation here, and I'm okay with it. The knock with him is that he hasn't called plays before. Well, what do you say to that? Do you think it is possible for an offensive line guy who's never called plays before to come over here and still be successful on plays?
Well, I think you've seen other dudes in other positions do it. The only reason that you haven't had an offensive line coach do it is because they don't tend to elevate to offensive coordinators. And so, but if you've been around and you know the game, I don't see a reason why he couldn't do that. The reason I like him, and, it's not that I like him above anybody else, but the one reason I do like him is that I feel like he comes packaged with the mindset that they want to play with, like a physicality that they want to play with. And then I think he would be able to then get the guys in place that fit that mentality. That's what they did in Detroit. Like, they passed on other players because they didn't quite fit the mentality that they wanted within those interior line on the offensive and defensive side to get the dudes that kind of fit what they wanted to do. And so I think he comes ready-made to be more closely aligned with the vision that Coach McDonald has, probably more than some of the other ones.
Hey, Ray, we had Jordan Reed, an ESPN analyst, on the show with us, and he said that he could see Seattle moving Abe Lucas inside and then drafting a tackle. Bump asked, well, why do you think Abe's future could be at guard? I got a cut I want to play for you. It's about 30 seconds long. Take a listen.
I just think the physicality that he plays with, which is something that I always love to see in those guards. And then also there's just something about what I like to call having those bumpers on each shoulder, just so you have that security with the center and then also the tackle. But as a tackle, you're always out on the island at that right tackle spot over your right shoulder. So it is a little bit different when you have those bumpers over each shoulder at guard, and you can protect them a little bit more in those protections as opposed to being on an island at offensive tackle.
All right. Ray, I'm glad to be able to ask you about this. Do you agree, and do you see the same thing? What's Jordan saying here?
I can see why people would say that, but I'm usually not ever in favor of that, just because a lot of times people look at all the offensive linemen and just think they're interchangeable parts, and they're not. The skill sets are nuanced and they're different for each position between guard, center, and tackle. And so when you take a guy from the tackle spot who normally plays with a more open stance, his shoulder get turned a little faster to the sideline and pass protection, it's kind of hard to then make that adjustment to the inside, because then you tend to open up to the outside a little too much and create an easy pass to the quarterback. It doesn't mean that you can't do it. And then also you tend to play with shorter, bigger defensive linemen. So that's different than playing with the athletic, speedy guys on the outside. So there is some learning to do in that. Even what's the guy for the Philadelphia Eagles, Becton, they moved him into guard, and even their offensive line coach was like, man, I had no idea if this was going to work or not. It tends not to work, but it worked for them. And so I don't know if I would be really quick to go like, hey, move Abe into guard, because to me that's just saying that you think that there's not a whole lot of difference between the different position groups, and there is. It doesn't mean that it can't happen, but I would rather find a dude that can play guard and has had success playing guard, play guard beside Abe, and then they're both playing showing as their best selves and stuff that they've been doing for a period of time. And I would rather have that combination than to do it the other way.
Big Ray, I'm just going to shift it to the playoffs now, man. Big weekend coming up. What are your predictions? Any stories that interest you? I just talked about how Josh Allen needs this win or he drops to 0-4 against Pat Mahomes in the playoffs. Anything that gets you going?
Well, you know what? I'm a big Jalen Hurts fan because I love the way he just stares down all of the expectations that people put on him based on what they think it should look like. And I know it's just like kind of cliche with him, but like he just keeps the main thing, which means that each game has its own history. So he he can't play like that and win next week. Well, then next week's a totally different game. So maybe he shows up a different way and he does what he has to do to win that game. And then I just like that guy's story, from having to leave Alabama, and the things that happened there and the way he's kind of built his career and showing up in the league as a backup and almost like a project type of a dude. But then just his leadership and just his unwavering commitment to who he is very hard to find, because it would be easy to go like, oh man, like I'm getting all this pressure that I need to play like this and it has to look like that. So let me change up my game, try to do too much, something outside my skill set. And he just stays in his lane and figures out how to win football games. So it'd be really cool to see him get to the big show and win the big show. I was pulling for Lamar up until this point, but now I'm pulling for Jalen Hurts. And then, I'm a big Bobby Wagner fan, so it's kind of cool to see, where he is and what he's doing. And then this rookie, Jaden Daniels, just watching them do what they do. And so I think it's some pretty cool storylines, throughout. But the one that I like, and just because I like the person, is Jalen Hurts.
Yeah. Well, also, you mentioned Bobby. He's like the easiest guy in the world to root for, just as someone that was like so nice to people behind the scenes, too. Just genuine good guy. Kind of sticking with the playoffs and to let you know a bit of what Bump and I were talking about before we brought you on. We were just talking about quarterbacks today, like how just absolutely floored we are with just the talent level and the expectation level. And we were going to look back. We just picked like an all-time great, right, Troy Aikman. And we were looking at just what quarterback stats were in past years and how different the league is now. It is wild. Bump, what was the total stat? Like his 96 season was?
Roughly 14 touchdowns, 12 interceptions.
We were just talking about, like, man, like our expectations for quarterbacks have changed. Ray, you obviously played, and you played, I think, in a time where you saw different versions of offense in the NFL. What's been to you maybe the most fascinating way the league has changed?
Well, I just think like the idea that the emphasis on throwing the ball is just incredible to me, because it takes away like a huge element of the foundation of football, which is I'm going to make you test your will against my will physically for 4 quarters and see how you can hold up. And so it's really kind of cool to see some of these teams that are back to running the football, because that's the essence of what football is. Like football didn't start 7-on-7. Like throwing the ball wasn't even part of football for the first how many ever years that football existed, and then the forward pass became a thing. And then so it's really interesting to see the growth and the blow up of throwing the football. I think Ben Johnson in his press conference for the Chicago Bears, taking the Chicago Bear job, said that in his research of the data, that however you measure the data that you use to measure quarterback success has become a larger indicator to winning than the turnover ratio, which has been like the golden standard forever. Like if you win the turnover battle, you're probably going to win the football game. And nowadays, whatever metrics you use to measure the success of quarterbacks is a bigger indicator to winning than that. So it's that is a big shift in the physicality of it, and a big shift a little bit away from the essence of what football is. Doesn't make it less entertaining, but it's just a different game than what I played. It was like snot bubbles for me. I just want to hit someone hard, and either I have snot or they have snot. But that's how hard I want to. That's the physicality at which I want to play the football game. And I do think, with Coach McDonald, that's kind of like where he wants to get to. Like when he says play the game the way no one wants to play it, that's because people don't play it like that anymore. And so you can have an advantage by being a super physical football team, playing against a team that's more designed to defend the pass.
To support what you're saying, Big Ray, I went back right now as you're talking. I looked at just the rushing attempts in the 1994 season. You got Emmitt Smith with 368. Natron Means, man, I remember that dude. That was a good one.
Oh, yeah.
343.
Yeah.
Your boy Barry's at 331. So you had 7 players with over 300 attempts. And we go back to this year, you have 6 players with over 300 attempts. So it seems like you mentioned, it's trending in that direction. Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, Bijan Robinson, Kyron Williams, Derrick Henry, and Saquon Barkley. Ray, I think there's always going to be this dance in football from now on. Like the offenses, spread them out. All right, so now you got to get small, and now we're going to pack you back in. Now you got to get big and try to adjust that way. But go ahead, B-Ray. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, yeah, and I think the teams that can kind of stay up, that are leading that dance. So if you think about doing the salsa, like, there's one, the dude is leading and the woman's kind of following the lead. The teams that can lead the dance will probably be the teams that are always in the front of the standings and having greater chances of winning the games in the Super Bowl, because they're rolling with the times instead of being stuck into whatever the current thing is. They're more open to going like, oh, well, it's trending back this way, so let's roll. Let's kind of like, 1-2 step to the other side this time.
I'm going to throw in one more for both of you guys. Bump, when you were talking about kind of like the pendulum swinging maybe back to rushing, I was like trying to think of, okay, when was I seeing an explosion in passing offenses? And I was like, maybe when like Sean McVay took over like 27, you're thinking 2017, 18, 19 is when everyone was like 11 personnel's taking over. One player in 2017 had over 300 attempts.
Really? Dang.
That's great.
So what
Who was
question? Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
So question for both of you guys, Ray, you'll chime in first as our guest, but I'm curious from both of you. Now I feel like we're very Seahawks pregame right now. Is what changed in the past 5-6 years? I mean, you talk about one player with over 300 attempts, and now it's back up to 5 or 6.
Yeah, well, I think, like I said, look, when you go too heavy one way or the other, the pendulum's gonna swing back to what the norm is. It's gonna come back to the middle. And I think coming back to the middle, if you get to the middle before the other teams, you have a distinct advantage. Because like Bump was just saying, you have like smaller defenses that are designed to defend the pass, and then all of a sudden you swing the pendulum back to the middle, and you start running the ball. Now you have like a physical size advantage. So you have like 220-pound linebackers versus 260-pound linebackers, and so you have an advantage running the football, and so then you can gain some advantages that way. And so that's the way I look at it. Like I said, those teams that can see ahead, think ahead, and be willing to make those changes and not be stuck like in what it is right now. I think you can find advantage because it'll probably swing back the other way. And you start throwing the ball again. Guys are packing the box. There's more opportunities for one-on-one opportunities outside. You have more qualified receivers. Like back then, you may have one receiver that was like a dog. Now you can have 3 or 4 receivers that can kind of get at it. And so now all of a sudden you start running the ball. They pack it in. You have more receivers that can get open one-on-one. You throw the ball more. So it can kind of swing back and forth. But just as a traditionalist, as an offensive lineman, like where you get your joy out of is driving a dude's dirt in the back. Back in the dirt. Like that has to always be part of it. So you have to. If I'm playing, obviously I'm not. I'm 55 years old. But if my 57-year-old body was out there, I'd want to. That's what I'd have to. Part of that would have to be part of my game plan.
Yeah.
I agree with everything Big Ray said. I also think that guys are getting back under center. And when you get under center, it's easier to run the football. Running backs are getting downhill. It's easier to play action off of it, and it's getting back to like what you said, the essence of football. The essence of football is hand it off to your best athlete, and let's march down the field.
Yes, sir.
He is Ray Roberts. You can hear him on the Seahawks pre- and post-game show. Ray, enjoy the rest of your time on the East Coast, my friend.
Thanks, Ray.
Absolutely. I'll be back there this weekend and hopefully partying with Bump and the crew, watching the championship games on Sunday.
Yes, sir.
Nice, yeah. Quickly, before we go to headline rewrites, a game for you and Curtis. For 2017, you mentioned Le'Veon Bell, the only rusher with over 300 attempts. Can you guys guess another 1 or 2 players in the top 5 rushers in 2017?
2017.
In attempts, I should go. Let me do yards. I'll do yards and switch it back up. Okay, in yards. I'll go yards. Le'Veon Bell is number 3.
Le'Veon Bell was killing it in 2017.
Is Derrick Henry still doing it?
No.
Oh, yeah.
No.
2017. No.
Man.
So one was a prominent rusher in the NFC West.
Adrian Peterson?
Nope, not on here.
Frank Gore?
Nope.
Frankie.
Marshawn?
Different team.
No.
Different team.
The Cardinals had a good one.
Larry Johnson.
Oh, David Johnson.
David Johnson. I said
David
Larry
Johnson had a big 2018.
Priest Holmes. That's two.
NFC West team.
NFC West.
Low key, maybe
Todd
the best.
Gurley.
Todd
Gurley.
Gurley. He was low key, maybe everyone was, the Rams. This pass game is insane. Todd Gurley was maybe the best player on that
They
team.
got Offensive Player of the Year.
Well, then they go to the Super Bowl against the Patriots, and it's like, where's Todd Gurley?
He kept getting hurt. He's
Yeah. Todd Gurley finished with 1,300 yards.
Wow.
I know, right?
Good old days.
Oh, Todd. Let's get to headline rewrites.
Read all about it. Headline rewrites.
We must make headlines.
The real story behind the headlines in today's news with Bump and Stacy.
Headline number 1, the Mariners lead all teams with 7 prospects on Baseball America's Top 100 list. What's the real headline?
Unfortunately, they trail every team in World Series appearances. Still trying to up that number.
Yeah. But this is what this is how they give themselves a pat on the back. Like, hey, fellas, we're doing it. We got a good farm system, young, we develop. That's what we do. But I want it to look like it did in 2022, man. Preseason, or I guess you call it preseason. You can't call it preseason. Off-season for baseball. Julio was number 3, Kirby number 32, Hancock 82, Brash 98. And you're getting production out of all these guys. We've even seen Hancock for a little bit. And then it falls off a little bit. And you make some moves, you make some trades, you deplete it, now you got to build it back up. But isn't that why you, one of the reasons why you have such a strong farm system is like, look, trade bait. Who you want? Who you want? Go get your bat. All right? You got to give away an arm probably in your rotation, some prospects as well. But this is how you build up to make a move. The question is, will they make that move?
Headline rewrites.
Headline number 2, longtime Cowboys reporter Clarence Hill says, expect Brian Schottenheimer to be hired as Dallas's new head coach in the next 24 hours. What's the real headline?
For once in his life, Jerry Jones didn't make the attention-seeking move. Obviously, the attention-seeking Hollywood move would have been primetime in Dallas, Deion Sanders. Not the move Jerry makes.
No, he's staying in-house. And Schottenheimer's been around the league for a while, and he's had some success the last 3 years. His offenses have been number 9, 2, and 26 when it comes to scoring points. Last year was tough, so that last number is always going to be high. And then the takeaway giveaway, man, 10, 5, and 21. Obviously, Dak Prescott not being there. He can call games. He knows the deal. And Jerry sounds like he's going with someone that he's comfortable with, which is surprising to me. And it's surprising. That might be refreshing. Maybe he's changing. At 81 years old, he's saying, you know what, let's switch things up. Let's make it simple, and let's keep it cowboy.
The Eagles and Commanders were going to have an NFC East showdown in the conference championship game. We all thought maybe it would be an NFC North showdown. Are we going to see, the Vikings and Lions somehow? I don't know how the bracket would have worked, but let's say the NFC North was dominating the conversation. Is it good or bad news for Dallas that the Eagles and Commanders, because it makes their schedule look tougher in hindsight?
Mm-hmm.
They had 4 games against these 2 teams that are going to be competing for a spot in the Super Bowl. They also have to get back into the division with them next year.
No, it's looking rough. The NFC East could be next year's NFC North of this year.
Headline rewrites.
Headline 3, according to San Francisco columnist Tim Kawakami, the 49ers have discussed Pete Carroll as a potential defensive coordinator option. What's the real headline?
Sherman, KJ, and 49ers colors is one thing, but Pete in the red and gold is a bridge too far.
As a Seahawk analyst and a fan, this one's weird. But as someone who can be petty and likes drama, I'm like, okay, Pete, you go over there and you do that, because the personnel he'll be working with over there would be way better than what he left over here. And that can rejuvenate Pete Carroll. And we're used to seeing the older fellas get it done defensively. So I'd be happy for Pete. I wouldn't like it, but I'd be happy for him, because I think he has a lot of good coaching left in him.
I just kind of assumed it would be Robert Saleh, because there was that report of Robert Saleh being, obviously he had already been there. And even when he was fired as Jets head coach, people were like, is he going to San Francisco? And obviously he didn't. He wanted to take time away. But now that the offseason started for the 49ers, the Jets, and so many other teams, he had been linked to the job. So I had looked up, like a Robert Saleh, kind of what's going on with that search. What if he takes the Jags head coaching job?
Pete?
Robert Saleh.
Man, there's a lot of work to do over there. No head coach, no GM. They're just floating around in space. They're like that trash bag in the parking lot that's getting swirled around by the wind right now.
Yeah, or like George Clooney in Gravity.
Yeah, there's no direction. And you know what? Honestly, that would be a good place for Pete. He could be the head and the GM and do both and get back to what he likes to do.
I like that too.
But Saleh, I think he needs to set himself up for success. Going over there is a no-go. I think if you have to sit out a year, you sit out a year and wait your turn.
Coming up next, Patrick Mahomes is pushing back against any idea that the Chiefs get more calls than other teams. Hear what he said next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
To this point, we still don't know who the one Hall of Fame voter is that did not vote for Ichiro, so you still are left with one player in the history of baseball that's been a unanimous selection.
It's one thing to be famous, and then it's another to be infamous, right?
Yeah.
So the guy was trying to make a name for himself. It might go horribly wrong for him.
I really don't understand the need for that kind of attention, if that's what it's for. If they got a true conviction behind their vote, I would love to hear it.
It would be utter nonsense, Bob.
Streaming live on the Seattle Sports app.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here, telling you that people all over the Northwest are going to lose 20 to 30 pounds by Valentine's Day. They'll do it by starting with Eastside Weight Loss Clinic as their resolution, and you can as well. A 15-minute phone call is all it takes to get started or see if you're even interested in the program. So take that time to do something for yourself and your future. I did the program. I immediately lost 10 pounds in the first week, lost 35 pounds after 8 weeks. So it absolutely works. Here's what I didn't have to do. Fight for space in a crowded gym with New Year's resolutioners, take pills or even worse, injections, eating bland, boxed, fake meals, nothing like that. What I did get was delicious recipes, a group to offer support, and the accountability, and an easy-to-follow plan that really did work. Do it for yourself this year. Eastside Weight Loss Clinic. Don't let a 15-minute phone call hold you back. Do it right now. Call 425-588-0080 or go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com.
Dr. Ryan Coogan, DC. Results may vary.
That spice is 10 out of 10. Would recommend. Hi, my name is Khadijah, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick of the chicken. It's just the right amount of heat, and it gets me excited. And then, pro tip, add that cilantro lime sauce. It cools it down. If the sandwich is at 100, the cilantro lime takes it to 200. It makes me want to, tell all my friends and family.
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonial.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Whatever you love, find it on eBay. eBay. Things people love.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, drive, weight, hair loss, and even ED. Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your T level for free. For your free T level check, exam, and consultation, call 206-529-1111 or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. If you've been injured, you need a lawyer that is tough, confident, and battle-tested. Call us at 253-WARRIOR for your free case review. Warrior Injury Law. Battle-tested.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here for my friends at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Yes, I said and hotel. If you're looking for a fun night out, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel is just the place to go. Whether it's Vista Prime Steak and Seafood with their reimagined happy hour or Falls Buffet as well. The breathtaking views of the Snoqualmie Valley and Mount Si. You can find all the details at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Only 30 minutes from downtown. Seattle's closest, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
Swedish Cyberknife has been serving the Pacific Northwest with innovative and compassionate care since 2006. Being able to precisely and accurately deliver radiation makes a difference in terms of controlling cancer and reducing the risk of side effects. The treatment is completed in only 5 sessions, lasting less than an hour. Patient surveys consistently give Swedish Cyberknife the highest of rankings. Swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
1-877 cards for kids. KARS cards for kids. 1-877 cards for kids. Donate your card today.
1-877 cars for kids.
KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Congratulations to the Tennessee Titans, who have the #1 overall pick in the 2025 draft. But, oh, what's this? They may not be taking a quarterback? That's what Adam Schefter had to say in an interview today with WEEI when asked about the Titans potentially taking a passer at #1.
You tweeted out around 11:30 today, Titans President of Football Operations, Chad Brinker, at today's press conference to introduce GM Mike Borgonzi. We won't pass on a generational talent with the first pick in the NFL draft. If you had to guess, not holding your feet to the fire per se, but if you had to guess, who do you think that generational talent might be, or do you have any intimations as to which way the Titans would be going?
The defensive lineman from Penn State or the wide receiver cornerback from Colorado. That quote told me that they are not locked in to take a quarterback at 1.
Ooh, not locked into a quarterback at 1. I kind of assumed that that's what they were going to do for obvious reasons. They don't have that answer. Maybe they're not sold on Cam Ward. Maybe they're not sold on Shador. Maybe this is just the
They're
team.
Bluffing.
Exactly. Reaching out to
They're
Adam
bluffing.
saying, Adam, tell them we aren't sold. Let's get those calls.
I mean, but yeah, they're bluffing, man. Come on now. Will Levis is not the guy. Mason Rudolph is not the guy. So you tell me that you're going to pass up on a quarterback. I think you go Cam Ward. You're going to pass up on a quarterback, and everyone that's in your organization is watching this. The players on your team, Tony Pollard, Calvin Ridley, all these guys are watching this go down. You're going to be like, nah, we're not going to support you. Nah, we're going to get some guys to compete with you, Calvin. We're going to go get that wide receiver over there. They got to be tripping. I hope they're bluffing. I hope this ain't real. Go ahead and get yourself a quarterback. You struck out 2 years in a row. Malik Willis 1 year, Will Levis the other year because the draft classes were weak. It's weak this year. Go get yourself a dang quarterback. What are you doing?
Can I tell you something fun?
Yeah.
I agree with you. There are 3 franchises, the Seahawks are one of them, that have never had the first overall pick ever in the history of their team. It's a rare opportunity, and it's usually your best shot at finding your franchise quarterback, and getting your franchise quarterback is your best shot at getting Super Bowls. It is the obvious conclusion. However, Adam isn't the only one who thinks they might not go quarterback at #1 overall. If you don't go quarterback at 1 overall, you're wasting that pick. You might as well trade it and get something. So Chris Trapasso for CBS Sports has a mock draft. Guess the team he has trading with the Titans. It's a top 10 team. Guess the team he has trading with the Titans to pick #1 overall. They're already selecting in the top 10, and they badly need a quarterback.
The Raiders.
Yes. He has the Raiders going up to #1, which means the Titans go down to #6, and they do take that edge from Penn State. Abdul Carter is the player he's talking about. They take him at #6 overall. And, of course, with #1 overall, the Raiders take Shedeur Sanders. Well.
I'm here for that drama.
I'm here
for that drama. But if you do select that #1, you better go get yourself a quarterback, son.
Have the Raiders hired a head coach yet? Is this like a fun path that we're mocking so that they could get Deion Sanders to come there, maybe?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe.
It's a dumb thing. Take a quarterback, for goodness sakes. Speaking of quarterbacks, even though Matthew Stafford said that he'd take some time to make a decision on his future, his head coach, Sean McVay, would really love for that decision to come soon.
You don't want to have that go on again. That's not so. I don't think that's good for anybody. I think sooner than later, being able to get that clarity, understanding, clear, open, and honest communication. I think there's a lot of love coming from our part. I think there's a lot of appreciation coming from his part as well. And, I think a lot sooner than later, Jordan, is an ideal scenario. And I think the appropriate thing is let's let the emotions settle. Matthew and I have obviously talked. He knows how important he is to me and to our football team. I thought it was a great dialogue. And then I think the appropriate timeline for us is, we'll get a chance at the end of next week to really sit down. That'll be one of the first topics kind of on your to-do list to be able to talk about. And then hopefully that'll give us the opportunity to be able to, move towards, clarity in regards to how that affects his status and what we're doing, with what we know is an incredibly important position for our football team moving forward.
Stafford's wife, Kelly, revealed on her podcast that Matthew played the final 5 games of the season with cracked ribs after he suffered that in their Week 15 win against the 49ers.
Who?
Kelly Stafford.
His wife? Why she got a podcast?
Every wife has a podcast now.
What is
Jason
going
Kelsey's
on?
wife has a podcast.
What is going on?
I don't know.
I'm all for
2025.
power couples and all that good stuff, but why? What?
I'm going to cancel you.
She's going to be like, listen, I'm going to have updates, guys, on my husband.
If you were playing today, Jen would have a podcast. Guarantee it.
Heck no. I'd block her. I'd block all of that.
I'm going to get Derek starting a podcast.
Oh, my God. It distracted me from the, okay, yes. Sooner than later. Okay, Matthew Stafford, not his wife, Matthew Stafford. Look, they got the 26th pick. You're not going to get a quarterback with that pick, but maybe he wants to know now so he can say, look, maybe I want Sam Darnold. Maybe Sam Darnold can come over here and run essentially the same offense that he ran over there with Kevin O'Connell. All coaches want to know what's going down early, but I think Matthew Stafford has positioned himself to where he can take a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's rushing to grab a quarterback right now in free agency.
Honestly, if Jen started a podcast today just talking about Bump, I'd listen to it so that Curtis and I could drag you every single day. Like every day we'd have fresh content on things to make fun of.
You got some stuff on me. That's for sure. That's for sure.
It would be amazing.
Can you believe what Bump said under his breath the other day?
Unbelievable. It was expected, but the Bears announced they will not retain Thomas Brown on Ben Johnson's staff. This is relevant because Brown is one of 5 candidates to have interviewed for the Seahawks OC job. Now that we know that Thomas Brown is not one of the 3 candidates who got second interviews, did you kind of write him off in terms of like, I'm not really focusing in on him as OC?
No. He was a thought, but you don't get that second interview, then you just didn't impress enough. Like Byron's out, he's out. It's only a few out there. Only 2 have had second interviews, right?
3.
Who's the third one?
Udinsky, Fraley, Kubiak.
Yeah, okay. Not hating, but y'all know who I want. Coobs.
Patrick Mahomes. Let's get to that. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs have been accused of refs favoring them, getting favorable calls, not just in that game against the Texans, but obviously in a number of close games all year long. And they've had so many close games, 11 one-score games this year. They are 11-0 in those games. So Patrick Mahomes told the media, this was yesterday, that he doesn't feel like the Chiefs get more favorable calls.
I don't feel that way. I mean, I just try to play football at the end of the day. The referees are doing their best to call the game as fair and as proper as they possibly can. And all you can do is go out there and play the game that you love as hard as you can and live with the results. And so for me, it's to go out there, play hard, try to do whatever I can to win the football game. And then live with the results based off my effort and the way that we played the game. And so I think that's what we preach here in Kansas City.
One of the things that Patrick Mahomes has been heavily criticized for is his ability, willingness, have what you will, to kind of tiptoe down the sideline and then draw those roughing calls. He was asked during an appearance later that day on 96.5 The Game whether he does that intentionally.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the only one I felt like I probably did too much was the one on the sideline where I didn't get a flag and the ref saw it and didn't throw a flag, and I understood it immediately and know that I probably shouldn't have done that. But at the same time, the one that everybody's talking about where I fell down, it's like I was just trying to get out of the way of getting smoked by the defensive lineman running. So I'll try to keep doing that and not take those hits because that's the smart way to stay in the football game.
Sorry for flopping.
One was real. He understood that he looked ridiculous flopping on that sideline.
Yes.
Or he understands he shouldn't have done that. Actually, 2 was real. And I also honestly think he was trying to get down because he knew the dog was coming, but he also baits them in. Here's a stat from Warren Sharp. Since 2011, they've played in 11 playoff games. 10 games in which opponents have more penalties, 0 games in which the Chiefs have more penalties. Ooh. And he says, look, I'm going to go to the playoffs. Regular season games. Out of 68 regular season games during this sample, 2021, 27 games the Chiefs has had less penalty yardage. That's 39%. 38 of the games the Chiefs have had more penalty yardage. And then in the playoffs, what I just read. So listen, look, you might not feel like you're not getting more calls, but you are. And I've never been as good as Pat Mahomes. I've never been on a team as good as the Chiefs. So I don't know what that feels like to feel like the refs are favoring you. They appreciate your greatness. I've always been on the team that was like, whatever, dog, you get what you want. And I would assume that you expect to get certain things because you are who you are and your team is at a certain status. He has to recognize that they get favored. He has to recognize that he can get these cheap calls or he wouldn't be baiting them like that. So he's kind of telling the truth, but he's not at the same time.
That's a really good point. Like, Patrick, you wouldn't have even, I know you're saying I shouldn't have done that. You made a split-second decision. The split-second decision was based on a judgment call you made in your brain saying, I'm probably going to get this. That's such a good point. You don't even do that if you don't think you're getting it. Look, I'm not going to sit here and call for Patrick Mahomes to be honest about an uncomfortable truth about his team, because it's hard to do. And, you know, the truth is he does get the benefit of the doubt with the refs. And the truth is there were bad calls against the Texans in that game. That's the truth. But it's hard to accept an uncomfortable truth about your team. So think about your own. Maybe it's the Mariners or Seahawks. Maybe if you're like Bump, it's a team you watched growing up that's different. What's an uncomfortable truth, something that's hard for you to admit about your favorite team? That's next.
4th down territory. Going inside the game with former Cougs at Seahawks wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
Hank Fraley is coming to Seattle for his second interview for that OC gig. If you were him, what would you highlight?
My influence on the run game. Detroit ran the ball 47% of the time. If you ran the ball 47% of the time or more, you made the playoffs. The top 7 teams when it comes to rushing percentages are all playoff teams.
4th down territory. Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bump and Stacy.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here. Let's talk stats. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, the state of Washington ranks number 4 in the whole U.S. for the highest concentration of roofers. That's literally thousands of roofers to choose from. So how do you know how to pick the right one for your home? Well, you start by eliminating those who aren't GAF Master Elite certified. That's about 97% of all roofers. So now you're down to the elite 3%. How many have over 35 years of experience? How many utilize the catch-all system to keep yards and driveways clear of any debris? Family owned with local roots and have the stamp of approval from the Mike Salk household? Well, that leaves you with just one, the roofing company you can trust. That's Riverside Roofing. In a sea of thousands of competitors, Riverside Roofing continues to stand out. And guess what? They have openings this winter for your roof project. So have them out to your house this week. Call them at 425-949-8252 or go to riversideroofingllc.com. They are the roofing company you can trust.
Ooma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma cloud phone system. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very
calm. I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus tax and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
I don't feel so good.
You do feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that fever.
What about my cough?
Dayquil Kids has that covered.
Will it make my throat feel better?
Yes, that too.
But will it taste good?
Yep, Dayquil Kids comes in your favorite flavor.
Purple?
Well, yes, it's grape.
Try new Dayquil Kids Plus Fever, the daytime coughing, aching, sore throat fever just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
It's time to vote for the top athletes and sports stories of 2024. Be part of history and help choose the sports stars of the year from a knockout roster representing the best in Washington sports. Cast your vote for the sports story of the year. Was it the Seawolves playoff run, the Kraken making history, or UW rowing dominating the Olympics? You decide. Vote now at seattlesports.org and enter for a chance to see the winners announced live at the 90th Annual Sports Star of the Year Awards, presented by Microsoft.
The Southern California Fire Disaster Relief Fund is now taking donations to help the victims of the devastating fires. You can help by donating at your local Safeway checkout today.
You're free now. Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers who chunk harder than you ever thought possible.
Cats, corgis, babies, baby penguins, baby pandas, chunky baby pandas.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things. Free to open a world of remote work and a portal into Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine, and then some. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Quantum Fiber, your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com. Limited availability, service in select locations only.
I've always said, the car sales in the 1980s and 1990s, earned the rep that we have today. The concerns that consumers have because of what has happened in our industry in the past, they're warranted. It's our job to show them that that's not how business is done anymore, right? It's very different business. It's much more transparent. There's much more information that's available to people. And we're much more customer focused than I think the car industry was, 20, 30 years ago. Yeah, I'm more focused on providing good customer service and relationships because I think if you take care of people, money will always come. So I think just the philosophy and the focus for us has changed, where I was constantly chasing a paycheck and now I'm just constantly trying to take care of customers and employees because I know if I do that, then my paycheck will take care of itself.
The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
Bring on the sunshine with a trip to see your Seattle Mariners. Come to sunny and warm Peoria, Arizona for another great year of spring training baseball. There's no better time to wind up at the Peoria Sports Complex where you can see all your favorite Mariners up close. Spring training in Peoria has plenty of sunshine, warm temperatures, and the best seats in baseball. It's family fun for all ages. Book your trip today. Support your Seattle Mariners in Arizona for another exciting spring training season. Get your tickets at PeoriaBaseball.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Before we get to the topic, I want to give you guys like an extra 30 seconds to think about your answer. What's an uncomfortable truth about your favorite team? Patrick Mahomes, we just played some sound of him being asked about favorable calls the Chiefs get, and he did not want to admit that they get those. Patrick, it's true. But that's okay. Admitting uncomfortable truths is hard. So I'm going to give you like 30 more seconds to send in those so I can have a collection of a couple texts. But I do want to say, and I didn't tell you I'd say this on air, I do want to say that we were just talking about the funniest things that your kids have been upset about. And as someone without kids, these stories are hilarious to me because I don't have to deal with it. It's always really funny for me to hear like, oh yeah, my kid was crying because I gave her Lucky Charms and she wanted me to take the marshmallows out, or the marshmallows were too small, like whatever it is, like just the dumbest thing your kid has ever been upset about. I'm genuinely curious. If someone has a legitimate funny one, I want to hear it. Bump, yours was?
I forgot what it was. I got another one though.
Yes, I love these.
My daughter was mad that my other son called shotgun before her. And you would have thought it was the end of the world. She didn't talk to me the whole ride. I drop off at practice. She won't give me a kiss. Like I didn't do it. It was him.
Oh,
he called it.
But you could have put a stop to it. You were complicit.
Got to be fair.
And shotgun rules are, I mean, look, those predate like civilization. Like we didn't invent those. Our forefathers didn't invent those. That's just the rule of the land. Uncomfortable truths about your favorite teams. Obviously, we're going to cover some Seattle ones here, but Bump, you probably have one about the Dodgers or Lakers. Why don't you get us started?
Got one about the Lakers.
Okay.
I won't see them win
a safe space, by the way.
another championship until I'm in my 40s.
Wow, I didn't think you'd go in that direction.
Yeah.
Why?
Because we're cooked. LeBron's 40, 80's 31. Management does nothing to make these trades. I don't even think people want to come over to L.A. now because of LeBron effect. He has won a championship for us in a bubble, but he's low-key like ruining our organization at the same time because he has so much control, and the moves that he influences these guys to make just don't work out. He wanted Russell Westbrook in this offense. He doesn't work well in this offense. Look at him at Denver. He's balling right now. LeBron James is ruining our franchise, and I won't see another championship until I'm in at least my mid-40s.
That's a spicy take. I like the LeBron James ruining our franchise.
Yeah.
That's a headline right there. But I will say, Curtis and I can't identify with this. A 39-year-old saying, I won't see my team win a championship until I'm in maybe my 40s. That's a championship mentality.
Yeah.
That's a championship mentality right there. That's a winner mentality.
Next year?
Yeah, that's what that is someone being like, I settle for excellence only. And I'm willing to wait a couple of years. But you got to catch up to Boston eventually.
Why?
Yeah,
I can go so hard, but I love Seattle. I can go so hard.
I know. Please do. Please do.
I love Seattle. When do y'all like
Curtis,
that?
what's an uncomfortable truth about your favorite team?
An uncomfortable truth. I've seen it texted a couple of times, and to me, with the Seahawks, I feel like they are encroaching on some dangerous territory of falling victim to what I call 1995 disease. And they have been trying.
If your loved one suffers.
For the last 11 years now to recreate the magic of Super Bowl 48 and that 2013 season. And I just got to say, give up the ghost. It is not going to happen. That team was so unique, not just in the history of the Seahawks franchise, but in the history of the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
That team will probably go down as the greatest team in Seattle sports history. And it's probably not going to be close. So let's stop trying to recreate that and maybe go after something a little more realistic to get back to the Super Bowl, because that team in 2013 and the following season when they nearly won the Super Bowl again, I don't think we're ever going to be able to see that collection of talent, not just on the roster, but the coaching staff as well. Like, stop with the 2013 look backs. Stop with the 2014 look backs.
Preach.
Let's focus on the now and the forward.
Well, and can I just stress, you're never going to be able to see that collection of talent playing on rookie deals.
Yeah.
One of the, not the, but one of the youngest Super Bowl winning teams ever. On rookie deals, Russell Wilson, Bobby Wagner, I want to say Russell Okung, though I can't fully remember, Earl Thomas, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, all on rookie deals. All of them. You were not paying anyone anything.
Good old days.
Some of your most expensive players were free agent defensive ends you brought
Gas
in
was
that
like
weren't
80
even
cents,
like,
you know?
yeah. Bread was a nickel. Like, it's crazy. I like this one. Most uncomfortable truth about my favorite team, says the 360. The Hail Mary was an interception.
Oh.
Wow.
Don't say that out loud.
Woo! Someone was saying it, though. I honestly... Am I convinced about that? It was simultaneous possession, right? It goes to the receiver.
It was interception.
Okay. Uncomfortable truths about my favorite team. This is one I'm going to read from a listener that I think several other listeners have and that I have. Uncomfortable truth about my favorite team. I don't know I'm ever going to live to see my team in a World Series.
You're 25, Stacy. You're gone. I think you will.
Smooth.
I think you will.
That's my friend right there. No, now, granted, I am reading a purposely dramatic interpretation of it, but I think that by far the most common response is, I'm never going to see a World Series team. The Mariners are never going to really try to compete. Like, by far, it's the most common sentiment. And I know you can see it on the text line.
Yeah.
And I think there is a genuine fear of, what if I have to wait 20 more years? What if I have to wait? Because I'm not even talking about getting back to the playoffs. I think this team, what's so frustrating about the offseason is I think this team with a couple moves is a good playoff team. You know what I mean? Like, I think that I'm still excited for the start of the season. I'm still going to watch every single game.
Always.
But World Series team?
World Series.
Like, the Yankees haven't even won a World Series since 2009.
That is a great point. And they
you might go.
They buy luxury pieces too.
You know? And they got close. They were in one.
But here's the thing is that you know what the Mariners have to do. They have to be that one special team that just gets hot and everything works. And why not us? Why not the Mariners? Who had a special season recently? The Diamondbacks? Right?
Yeah, the Royals have had one.
It's the Mariners' turn.
The Nationals kind of with a young Juan Soto who turned, 21? Did he turn 21 or during the World Series? Or,
Yeah, I think so. It's funny because he's still young. He's not even 26.
God. Okay, uncomfortable truths. Someone said the Lakers won't win another trophy for 3 years. You know what? I actually think that Bump,
More
a
than 3.
diehard, lifelong Lakers fan, you named one of your children Kobe, saying LeBron sank my team or is like ruining my team is a very uncomfortable truth about the Lakers.
Yeah.
That is, I think that's a very uncomfortable truth about the Lakers. It's a good one.
Be real, we won a Mickey Mouse trophy in the bubble. It was a Mickey Mouse trophy. We're going to claim it. But then now what? And he is the dang GM. Goodness gracious.
Uncomfortable truths. Let's see if there's another one. 866-979-3776. I'm seeing a lot of the same Mariners ones. Is like, hey, I may never see the Mariners win a World Series. The Mariners are preparing for a lockout in 2026.
Oh, there's a good one.
Yeah.
Everyone that wears a Russell Wilson jersey became a fan after 2012. I mean, they're not real ones. Not real ones.
That's a good one.
That's deep.
Yeah. Yes. All right, you guys. Those are uncomfortable truths about our teams. Now I'm getting some into the text line. Of course, now I'm getting it during the break. Well, I'm going to read through them anyways. We found out the finalists for MVP, Coach of the Year, Comeback Player of the Year, and more. We're going to name our own award winners next.
Ichiro is headed to Cooperstown.
The unbelievable has happened!
Celebrating the career of Ichiro Suzuki.
I may joke around, but I really think it's great that we get a chance to play together.
I agree.
I'm here to tell you that Ichiro threw something out of Star Wars down there.
He had the most unbelievable ability to put the bat on the ball.
And ground ball back up the middle, and there it is. He's a new all-time hit king.
Join Seattle Sports in congratulating Ichiro Suzuki on a Hall of Fame career with your Seattle Mariners.
At Sound Pain Solutions, some of the most difficult cases we see are patients suffering from failed back surgery syndrome. Bill is an avid golfer, but his pain got so bad he couldn't play and was considering surgery.
My back was killing me. I could not play any more golf. I could not walk more than half a block. I did not want surgery on my back, and I researched many different ways of getting this fixed. Behind that was horror stories from my friends who had back surgery, but it wasn't worth it, and I just made conclusions that there's got to be another way.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We were able to get Bill back on the course without the risk of surgery. We did this using non-invasive, FDA-cleared procedures like non-surgical decompression, laser, pressure wave, and bioelectrical treatments. Now, Bill is back to playing golf and enjoying life. Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our non-surgical and drug-free treatment by calling Sound Pain Solutions or visiting soundpainsolutions.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. JP Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Hey, it's Mike Salk here for my friends at Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Yes, I said and hotel. If you're looking for a fun night out, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel is just the place to go. Whether it's Vista Prime Steak and Seafood with their reimagined happy hour or Falls Buffet as well. The breathtaking views of the Snoqualmie Valley and Mount Sinai. You can find all the details at snocasino.com. Seattle's closest is now Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel. Only 30 minutes from downtown. Seattle's closest, Snoqualmie Casino and Hotel.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Up top, bike shop.
Yeah. It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messelthorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of the body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Febreze. So my home is also my office. And before I can focus, every room's gotta be clean. That means tidying up and spraying my Febreze Air Mist. Ooh, that's fresh. Febreze Air Mist scents are all high quality. They fight any weird funk, and they give my air an instant boost of freshness. So not only does my home smell good, I feel good too. After I Febreze, it's time to start my day. Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Hey, let's throw a party this year for the big game.
Oh, great idea. But first, we should get a new TV. One of the top-rated brands, Samsung, LG, or Sony.
Okay, I'll start shopping on the internet and then head over to the Warehouse Club.
Well, but if that's all we do, we'll be sorry.
Why?
Because the best deals on those top-rated TVs are at video only, not online or at the club.
Video only?
Yep. We can save up to $500 if we shop smart.
Or we'll be sorry.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports. Seattle Sports Snapshot.
The Miami Heat have suspended Jimmy Butler again for conduct detrimental to the team. This time it's a 2-day suspension, and it follows him missing a team flight to Milwaukee. Butler's made it clear he wants to be traded before the league's February 6th deadline, but there hasn't been much movement on a deal between the Heat and Butler's preferred destination, the Phoenix Suns.
Snapshot, brought to you by Miller Lite. When it's game time, it's Miller time.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bump and Stacy.
On Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app and at seattlesports.com.
Now, here are your hosts, Michael Bumpus and Stacy Ross.
Here we go now. We know the finalists for MVP, Coach of the Year, Comeback Player, Defensive Player, Offensive and Defensive Rookies. And we're going to go through and name some of the award winners in our mind.
Nah, it's the truth.
I'm going to...
What we say is what it is.
Yeah. Do you want to save MVP or do it first?
Nah, let's get out the way.
Okay, because it's the most interesting one to me and to most NFL fans. MVP finalists, there are 5. Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Jared Goff. This is a battle between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson.
There's only one right answer. It's a quarterback that threw for 40 touchdowns and only 4 interceptions. It's a quarterback who had 800 yards rushing on that thing. It's a quarterback who cannot get over the hump and get to a Super Bowl championship. It is not a playoff award. As much as you might think, oh, he don't deserve it, he couldn't beat Josh Allen. So what? He was the best quarterback during the regular season. It's Lamar Jackson, and that's the only answer.
Okay. Now, I just truthfully, I think it should be Lamar. I think that the touchdown to interception ratio, this is like Aaron Rodgers' MVP numbers. 41 touchdowns to 4 interceptions in any other season would be an MVP season. So
and this one too.
I'll just say face value, I do think it's Lamar. But I think it will be Josh Allen. In terms of like who did the most as a passer, the answer might actually be Joe Burrow, who was the MVP for his team, and who I think finished with the most touchdowns in the league, right? Most passing yards.
Yep.
The argument that a lot of people make for Josh Allen, and one I'm going to throw your way because you're inevitably going to get it on the text line anyways, is that Josh Allen did it with less talent around him.
He did it with less.
Okay, but listen, if I'm looking at this thing, Derrick Henry, okay? Derrick Henry had 16 touchdowns, 1,921 rushing yards, just shy of 2,000 rushing yards.
It's amazing.
James Cook is the leading rusher for the Bills and had 1,009 yards. Now,
amazing.
16 touchdowns. But
exactly.
But
don't put that in parentheses.
I'm not gonna take it away. Okay, 16 touchdowns also. So James Cook and Derrick Henry had the same number of rushing touchdowns, which is crazy because Derrick Henry had 900 more yards. But the impact on the game, you cannot deny that Derrick Henry is a boon for the Ravens offense, for Lamar Jackson, in a way that James Cook, while an excellent running back, is just not for Josh Allen.
No, he's not, but he still has 16 touchdowns. And Josh Allen can run that rock, too. He had 12 rushing touchdowns, so I'm going to give him a nod there as well. Listen, I understand. I'm not going to be furious if Josh Allen gets his award. All right, I understand. People are looking at, but look at his stat. Well, he only has a 1,000-yard rusher with 16 touchdowns. You know, he only has the 4 receivers with over 300 yards, one with 182, and you got a tight end with touchdowns of the yin yang. Listen, man. No, he doesn't. That's Mark Andrews. But no, man, I get it. Listen, it's hard for me to make an argument for Josh Allen not to be the MVP because I understand quarterback is the most important position, and the more weapons you have, the better you are going to be. And he definitely had to change his game. He took care of the football this year. Only 6 interceptions. Too bad. That's more than Lamar Jackson, who only had 4 and threw 41 touchdowns, you know. But the thing about Josh Allen is that people always wanted to talk about how many touchdowns did he account for, all right? So he accounted for 40 touchdowns if you add his rushing touchdowns in there. That's cute because Lamar threw for 41 on his own and still ran for touchdowns. I get it. I'm not mad if Josh Allen gets it, but how are you going to look at, we just saw the greatest individual season a quarterback has ever had, and he's not going to get MVP? Blows my mind.
Is it MVP fatigue? And I'll say to the point of the weapons these quarterbacks have around them, you cannot talk about only skill position players. Josh Allen is playing behind a better offensive line. At least according to Pro Football Focus. I'm not an offensive lineman. I'm not an offensive line analyst. I'm going by what other analysts have had to say about it, but they did almost universally rank Buffalo's offensive line above the Ravens. The Ravens still have a very good offensive line, so don't get it twisted. But if we're talking about weapons that someone has, it's not like Josh Allen is playing on the Titans. It's not like he's playing on the Raiders. It's not like you threw him onto the Panthers. He's playing on a Bills team that is still really solid and has a very good offensive line. So,
you know who jacked things up, though?
Yes.
Philly. Just let Saquon get the yards he needs, and this is an easy conversation. Philly jacked it up.
Would Saquon have gotten it if he broke the record?
I think so. I think he should have. He should have. A record that stood for 40 years, he better have gotten that thing.
I don't know that he would have gotten it.
He better have.
I mean, I guess I just assumed that when Derrick Henry didn't get it in his 2K season, I was like, no running back's ever getting it.
He didn't break the record, though.
He didn't break the record. He did not. And that would have been his only case. I really...
Who got it that year?
MVP.
Was it Aaron
I'm going to
Rodgers?
guess Aaron Rodgers. Yeah. This would have been, what, 2021?
Oh, yeah, it's Aaron Rodgers for sure.
I think. Which, in that case, it would have been probably the same thing. 39 touchdowns to 4 interceptions or something crazy like that. And you go, how do you fight that? How do you fight 5,000 passing yards and, you know, a crazy touchdown interception rate? I think the momentum during the season just went to Josh because people created this narrative that not only was it his best season, which it was, that he was taking so much into his own hands. The idea was Josh Allen is taking over games, and we are watching the best version of Josh Allen we've ever seen. This is fantasy football.
Good for him.
Happening.
Best version we've ever seen from him. We just saw a quarterback with the greatest season of all time. I get it. And it was 2020. Aaron Rodgers threw for 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions.
253. It's Allen. He carried the team.
Carried. So did Mahomes. I mean, not Mahomes. Lamar. So if Lamar's not on that team, does Baltimore have the year that they have? That's one of the things where you can only put so many players in that position. I think if Josh Allen is on that team, he doesn't throw for 40 touchdowns.
Yeah. Someone said, you're wrong, Stacy. Barkley would have gotten it if he got the record. We literally will never know if that happened, so how am I wrong? I'm saying I don't even know if that would have done it because I'd convinced myself they would never give it to a non-quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
There's fundamentally no way to be incorrect about that because he never got the record.
Mm-hmm.
This is all hypothetical. It's all hypothetical. Lamar had more turnovers than Josh. Oh, I forgot to look at fumbles.
Okay.
That doesn't sway it for you?
No.
Doesn't sway it for you?
Touchdown turnover ratio.
Does their final game, while it was not in consideration for voters who wrapped that up during the season, does their final game in any way sway your opinion, which Josh Allen and the Bills did win?
No, it doesn't.
Why?
Because it's a regular season award. It's not a playoff award.
It is a regular season award.
Let's just keep it a buck. It is what it is. We're not looking at playoffs, all right? Regular season.
But people use that argument when it comes to like Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and they go, well, Tom Brady's the GOAT, and when they actually face each other, Tom Brady won, which is, I hate the argument.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I hate the logic of the argument because it's like the two quarterbacks aren't playing each other, and Patrick Mahomes' career isn't over. You have no idea what's going to happen.
Let me respond.
Yes.
And you clearly don't listen to the show every day, but that's fine. People have things to do. 4A says, yeah, and the extra game for Barkley can't compare an all-time record in 16 versus 17 games. Bump. Guess who had more carries? Eric Dickerson, 475 or something like that, and Barkley would have done it in
fewer carries.
So I love that. Thank you for letting me say that.
No, that really, legitimately, one of the best arguments I've heard for the whole disregard 17 games versus 16 is that it would have been in fewer carries.
Fewer carries.
And by enough carries to justify having not a heavy workload in a game, but an extra game.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been roughly the same. So it's the best argument I heard. Is there an argument to be made for Saquon? And am I wrong in framing it as it's Lamar versus Josh?
There's an argument, but when it comes down to it, it's Lamar versus Josh.
That's the thing. I'm like, I just don't think that the league looks at it. Oh my God, we've spent so much time on this. Okay, we both think it should be Lamar. I think it'll be Josh. Who do you think it'll be?
I think it'll be Josh.
Yeah.
Should be Lamar, though.
What if Joe Burrow comes in here out of nowhere? He's like, thank you.
Hey, I love a curveball.
Coach of the Year candidates, Dan Campbell, Kevin O'Connell, Sean Payton, Dan Quinn, Andy Reid. Dan Quinn, Andy Reid still in the playoffs. Dan Campbell's Lions overcame a ton of injuries defensively. Kevin O'Connell doubled his win record, and Sean Payton took the Broncos to the playoffs, breaking a 9-year drought. They went to the playoffs, right? Am I totally blanking?
Yeah, Broncos went to the playoffs.
Oh, my God, yeah, wow. I'm like, I had literally a trivia question on that. Yeah. Oh, you're right. They put up a touchdown.
Yep. Came out hot.
They did.
Had us believing.
Yes. Okay, so broke I think a 9-season playoff drought for the
Easy.
Broncos.
Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
You went into this season thinking you had your future quarterback, J.J. McCarthy. You signed Sam Darnold on the low, just in case, break glass just in case type of thing. And you had to break that glass, and Sam Darnold did his thing. Ended poorly. I think he lost like $15, $20 million and when it comes to him signing with another team. But Dan Campbell just said, let's run it back. All right, boys, we got a quarterback. We got everybody. Let's run it back. Injuries on defense hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Payton ended a drought. I appreciate that. Got your rookie to play well. Dan Quinn, this is where I wish it wasn't just a regular season award, because if it wasn't, Dan Quinn would get it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Andy Reid, come on, man. Come on, man.
Finalist for Comeback Player of the Year, a category that
they jacked up.
Well, what's interesting, Sam Darnold is in here.
How?
But technically, the rubric is supposed to be that it has to be from an injury or from some kind of reason you missed time. It can't just be like, you're good now after a down season. Comeback Player of the Year, favorite is Joe Burrow, but your candidates are Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, J.K. Dobbins, Christian Gonzalez, Damar Hamlin.
Damar Hamlin should get it every year he plays in the NFL. All right? My man died on the football field. Brought him back. Every year he plays.
Listen to me.
Every morning he wakes up.
Look.
He should get the award.
Counterpoint. Damar Hamlin should have got it last year.
Yeah, who was it?
I am Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco, yeah.
Why they changed the rubric. I am blown away that he didn't get it. I'm also blown away by his story. Should he be a candidate this year?
Yes, he should. And finally, the NFL is trying to get things right. They say, you know what? We jacked it up last year. We're changing the qualifications.
Some revisionist
Damar
history
Hamlin
here.
should get it every year he plays in NFL.
Like, Damar, listen.
They're going to change it to the DeMar Hamlin Award.
They are.
For real.
All right, Defensive Player of the Year is kind of a weird category because there's no runaway candidate. Zach Bond, Myles Garrett, Trey Hendrickson, Patrick Surtain, and TJ Watt.
Miles. It's Miles all day.
Yeah.
Plays on a horrible team, but
TJ's going to be mad.
TJ is going to be mad. TJ's always mad, especially he has reason to be happy now. He's good. But it's Myles Garrett.
Offensive Player of the Year, a.k.a. congrats to the MVP we didn't name.
Exactly.
Saquon Barkley, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson.
This is tougher than MVP. For me, it is because Joe Burrow doing what he did with that squad, the numbers he put up is crazy. Saquon almost getting the yardage he needs. Jamar Chase having a great season. I think he's the one who's on the outside looking in. It comes down to Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Barkley, and Burrow. I'm going to go with, it has to be, if Lamar doesn't get the MVP, it's going to be him.
But then it's just like a kind of like good for you award. I think this is Barkley's award. And I think that MVP just happens to be an incredibly tough category this year, which Barkley won't win, unfortunately. But how do you have a season where he came 101 yards shy of breaking a long-standing record and you give him no recognition because you didn't know who to give the MVP to?
He got all pro.
Then give the MVP to Lamar, give this to Saquon, and I'm so sorry to Joe Burrow, whose team wasn't good enough to make the playoffs, to Josh Allen, who had a great season but didn't put up quite the numbers that Lamar or Joe did. You know?
I like that logic.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's weird because I think Josh will get the MVP.
Yeah.
But in my version of kind of like, what makes sense to me?
It jacks up the universe if he gets the MVP.
Do you want to do defensive and offensive rookie?
Yeah.
Okay, defensive rookie of the year, Cooper DeJean, Braden Fisk, Quinion Mitchell, Chop Robinson, Jared Verse.
It's out of Fisk and Verse to me. Pick a Ram, any Ram.
I was going to say.
It's out of those two.
Unfortunately. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Jared Verse.
Mm-hmm.
Offensive rookie of the year feels, this one's tough actually. I mean, obvious winner, but really cool candidate also. Brock Bowers, Jaden Daniels, Malik Neighbors, Bo Nix, Brian Thomas Jr.
Who's the obvious?
Jaden Daniels.
Is it? You're looking at what he's doing in the playoffs too, though.
Yes. Brock Bowers should be in any other year would be the winner.
Can we have We need a couple award winners here.
I'm fine with that.
I mean, I want the NFL to do it.
Participation trophies.
Oh, that's not. They weren't participating.
Yeah.
They were getting it in. I'd go Brock Bowers, but I think Jaden's probably going to get it.
It's weird because it's like you want Jaden to be recognized for everything he did, and he did break a rookie quarterback rushing record that had stood for 12 years. So there is something to like, wow, that's absolutely amazing. And you could make the case. No one should make a case against Brock Bowers, who did this without a franchise quarterback. But you could be like, well, who else did the Raiders really have? Of course they're going to throw it. Like, you could make a weak case.
Yeah, you can make a weak one.
Brock not winning. But
yeah.
Let's get to 4 down territory.
This is 4 down territory. Going inside the game with former Seahawks and Coug wide receiver Michael Bumpus.
First down. I lost my spot here. I got it. Whose mentality and legacy could take a hit early in their career if they don't get a win on Sunday?
Your supposed MVP, Josh Allen. He can get this award. You know what? I want him to get some Lamar action. I want him to win this award and then not go to the Super Bowl so he can feel what Lamar's been feeling these past few years, right? He's 4-1 in the regular season against Pat Mahomes, but he's 4-1 in the regular season, 0-3 in the playoffs. All right, he's the only quarterback to beat Pat Mahomes 4 times in the regular season, but has not beaten him in the playoffs. Mahomes has more picks in the regular season, and he's been sacked more times. But when the lights come on and the music comes on, Mahomes turns it up. He has more TDs and 0 interceptions in the playoffs. This is big for Josh. He's got to find a way to mentally get over this hump. And if there was a time to beat the Chiefs, now is the time. Someone texted in when we were talking about the penalties and stuff. Why are you hating on Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs? Maybe they just play better ball and they're more consistent and they dominate and win games. I said, sir, you have not been watching these games. They don't dominate. They've won 8 or 9 one-score games this season? 11 one-score games this season. And then I just read you all the stats when it comes to the penalties. it is what it is. They are a good football team. One of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, one of the greatest head coaches of all time. But come on, man, let's just keep it 100. It is what it is. But if Josh cannot get over this hump, this offseason is going to be extremely long because this is the most vulnerable the Chiefs have looked in 7 years.
Second down. What's a theory about the draft that was proven last year, and do you think it will be true this year?
Yeah. So last year, the top 15 picks were good to go. You go up and down. Maybe there's one guy who didn't play a lot of football, and everyone contributed. This year, I don't see that happening. And I don't see it happening because of the quarterback talent. Last year, the quarterback talent supported this draft and pushed defensive players to the back end and said, we'll worry about you guys later. This year, you just don't have that. You have two quarterbacks who I think are going to get drafted in the first round. Other than that, it is what it is. And this is early into my pre-draft study. I haven't really started studying too much on these guys. I know a few of them, but I just don't see the same type of talent. So if there was a year where guys have to really dig into evaluation, find those diamonds in the rough, it has to be this year because I just don't see the same amount of talent I saw last year.
They're down. Other than taking care of the football, how can an OC help Geno improve his game?
So Geno, according to his charts, has trouble throwing to the left side intermediate, right? So we got to fix that. Also, according to his charts, when it comes to passes, 30 yards, right? Traveling 30 yards through the air, he's 17th in the league. Now, when I look at that, I say that's run after the catch. And the reason why I say that is because there are three types of routes: short, intermediate, and deep. The deep routes, you can catch the ball around 35, 40 yards on a post, on a corner, on a go. That 30-yard, 25 to 30-yard is interesting because that tells me there's yards after the catch. So this OC has to be on some Kevin O'Connell, some Sean McVay. Get your playmakers open so they can catch the football and run with it and pick up these yards. The word this year should be yak. Jason, get that yak. We saw that he can do it. DK, if he's back, get that yak. Bars. Zach Charbonnet, get that yak. So this is how this OC can help him, all right? Allow him to see the defense part like the Red Sea. You see number 11 butt naked on a Sunday. Get him the football. Let him get those yards after the catch. That's what that 30-yard zone feels like to me.
Fourth down. Former Husky, current NFL analyst Isaiah Stanback joined us earlier in the show. Anything stand out from our conversation with him?
Yeah, two things. One, he talked about how just the evolution of quarterback. Because I remember playing against Isaiah Stanback in college, and it was back-to-back, man. It was like him and Jake Locker. Whenever they had the football in their hands, the play could be broken down. You hold your breath because you feel like they can break a big one at any moment. And he talked about how he was asked to move to different positions because he offers more. We talked about the quarterbacks who are in the conference championship. It's the most athletic conference championships we've seen. I asked him why, and he says it's just being more accepted. Guys are starting to use those quarterback skills instead of holding it against them and having them play different positions. Another thing he talked about was that the OC from here, or potential OC in Seattle, is most likely going to be a guy who's going to learn on the fly. And I think that made me nervous, and it makes people around this city nervous because they want someone or something that is established because of what you have. You have Geno, you have offensive line that needs to be fixed. You have running backs, you have receivers. It looks like you are so close. So getting a guy who's this learning on the job, I think makes guys nervous and makes me nervous. That's why I think that they're going to go with Kubiak or Fraley. Fraley is a guy who hasn't called plays before, but I like the O-line connection. But Kubiak is my guy. I'll probably say it 5 more times until they find themselves an offensive coordinator.
If you missed that interview, it's a fantastic listen. Isaiah was a great guest. It kicks off hour 2 of the Bump and Stacy podcast. He was on with us at 11. Jumping back to our breakdown of like who should win comeback player, who should win coach of the year, who should win MVP. A text from a listener, Julio says, I was making the case for Josh having good offensive line, like if we're talking about who has the best weapons and who doesn't. He said, well, Saquon had the best offensive line and the best weapons around him, to use Stacy's own argument from a couple minutes ago. So it's Josh and Lamar's to share. Okay. I didn't mind the argument that, like, well, technically Saquon's behind the best offensive line. And immediately I was making, like, pro-Saquon arguments because, you know, I just think what he did this year was phenomenal. But I think that there is...
He still was breaking off 60, 70-yard runs, man.
Yes. Well, it's when someone plays behind a great offensive line, it helps them be their best self, but you have to be special to do what he did.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder what Eric Dickerson's offensive line, what they look like and how they were ranked back in his day.
yeah, I'd be curious. All right, still to come. Get your questions in for What I Need to Know. 866-979-3776. And let's see what's on tonight.
What's on tonight with Bump and Stacy, brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook at Muckleshoot. Now, here's what's on tonight.
It's Kraken Capitals tonight. Puck drop at 7 p.m. on Kong and Amazon Prime. Plus, an all-new episode of The Traders. Hype Train is coming your way next.
The Hot Stove Show, Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m.
Mariners hitting coach Kevin Seitzer, just 2 years ago, was the Major League Coach of the Year, now taking over as the hitting coach for the Seattle Mariners. When you look at this opportunity with Seattle, what excites you the most about being part of the Mariners?
Everything. Talented pitching staff, city that's ready to win, and hopefully we can come in there and help out a little bit and get us to the promised land.
Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason. The Hot Stove Show, every Tuesday leading up to spring training.
Two explosive bands. One massive night of alternative rock. Lit. Fuel. The Ignited We Stand Tour hits Muckleshoot Event Center Wednesday, February 19th. Get your tickets now at muckleshootcasino.com. Lit and Fuel. Light up the stage. February 19th. Only at Muckleshoot Casino Resort.
Do you leave your car running unoccupied to warm up or stay warm during the winter? Don't do it. Car thieves call those steamers. They're watching for you and they'll steal your car before you know it. Every winter, Washington sees an uptick in auto theft, and a major reason is steamers. Share this information with friends and family. Prevent the theft and keep you and your vehicle safe. Don't get caught with your car running. These tips are brought to you by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
Hey, it's Shannon O'Kelly here from IRG, and Wednesday, January 29th, Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, is having a free live webinar to talk all about stem cell therapy.
I'm really looking forward to this live webinar to educate on how using your own stem cells can be an extremely successful method to help regenerate native tissue in rotator cuffs, meniscus tears, and reduce pain in osteoarthritic joints.
And which joints have you seen good success with?
Shoulders, elbows, hips, knees, even wrists and ankles. And in this live webinar, we'll tell you all about the procedure, how simple and safe it is using your own stem cells, and how we determine if you're a candidate.
Dr. Wagner has performed over 20,000 stem cell procedures. Are you in pain? Join the free live stem cell webinar Wednesday, January 29th at 6 p.m. and learn all about stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD. Register at drmarkwagnermd.com. That's drmarkwagnermd.com.
Where can you kick off the new year? With big savings on gig speed? Only with Xfinity. Now through January 30th, get gig internet at home for $25 a month for 1 year when you add an unlimited mobile line, which connects you to gig speed Wi-Fi on the road. Act fast today and save more than $650 over AT&T and Verizon in your very first year. Plus, hurry and take advantage because right now you can also get a free 5G phone with trade-in. So save big and stay connected to what you love with fast gig speed internet and mobile. From home to hotspots this new year, it's all about gig speeds and big savings. Don't wait and get gig speed internet, spend less green, and switch to Xfinity. Go to Xfinity.com/gig savings to learn more. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Internet discount applied to mobile bill. $40 internet discount applied to mobile bill. After promo, regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon, Fiber, Gig Plus One Unlimited Welcome Line, and AT&T Fiber Gig Plus One Unlimited Starter Line. Xfinity internet required. Reduced speeds after 30 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual speeds vary.
Guys, your testosterone level impacts your energy, drive, weight, hair loss, and even ED. Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your T level for free. For your free T level check, exam, and consultation, call 206-529-1111 or visit revivemenshealth.com.
Cressy Garage Doors. If you're in the market for new garage doors, Cressy Door has been offering quality service since 1952. Best selection, best price. Cressy Door.
The Hot Stove Show. Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason with Aaron Goldsmith, Gary Hill, and Shannon Dreyer.
Swing and a miss for strike 3.
Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. leading up to spring training.
The LJ Way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the Lee Johnson Auto Family. This is King. This organization's a special one. They call it the Lee Johnson Auto Family, and it's not just a name, it's not just some cliche. They foster an environment for us to become a family, to work together, to really become close, and they show us in a lot of different ways that they do value us. Is it perfect? No place is. But I've been very thankful to be here in the almost 10 years and have every plan to stay here for a lot longer and just watch it continue to grow.
He's fun and professional, which explains why so many people visiting Lee Johnson Kia ask for him by name. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, really? That's great.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
I can't have any more? Why not?
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Shop can't miss deals going on now during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. For a limited time, get a free adjustable stand when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch miter saw. That's a $229 value. Plus, save $680 on a Midea 4-piece kitchen appliance suite. Now just $17.96. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Valid 1/13 through 1/24. Cannot be combined with additional discounts while supplies last. See store or Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items.
This hour is brought to you by Mazda of Everett.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Coming up in 15 minutes, it's What I Need to Know. You send any question you have. Sometimes I like a call for advice to the Mac and Jack's text line at 866-979-3776. Right now, we're heading to the station for Hype Train. All right, I got, of course, some NFL playoff ones. To start, Josh Allen has not gotten by Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. It's been a tough road for him, but that changes this time around. It's the Bills and Chiefs in the AFC Conference Championship game, and Josh Allen finally gets the best of Mahomes and advances to the Super Bowl.
He better. Because if you ain't going to do it now, it ain't going to happen for another 2-3 years, dog. He better. But you know what? I got the script. And it says that Pat Mahomes gets the ball with 2 minutes left, down 3. Drives all the way down. They give Xavier Worthy the football on a jet sweep. He scores. Then the Bills get the football down 4. The long return down to the 30-yard line. Josh Allen drops back to throw a touchdown interception. Chiefs win. Dang. Doesn't happen this year.
Josh Allen finally gets the best of Patrick Mahomes and advances to the Super Bowl. Bump is boarding. Curtis, are you?
I'm from the future. Where's my horn at, Brady? What's going on, man?
Oh, Brady, that means the program.
Hey, Brady, how you doing? This is
Bump and Stacy.
Hype Train.
I thought you didn't board.
Oh, I didn't board it.
Yeah,
hey,
I was going to say, Bump did not board.
Take my horn back, Brady.
Do a reverse.
Here's your reverse.
Curtis.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Are you boarding this train that Josh Allen gets the best of Patrick Mahomes and advances to the Super Bowl?
I so desperately want to. Josh Allen has been just amazing this season. And eventually, you got to push that rock up the hill. It's got to stay there. What's that old proverb where the rock keeps falling down the other side of the hill?
No, we know the man.
That's Josh Allen.
We know his game. I just don't remember his name.
But I'm not a fool. I'm not picking against Patrick Mahomes in January. Are you kidding me? Patrick Mahomes is a machine this time of year, so I am not boarding this train. I think Kansas City advances to yet another Super Bowl. They're 5th in 6 years or something ridiculous? Yeah, I don't see it happening. Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs advance. Not boarding.
Picking against the Chiefs is kind of how I feel anytime I get a lotto ticket. They'll be like, yeah, the odds are 1 in 3 trillion. And I'll be like, sign me up. I will take 10. That increases my odds. That's how I feel picking against them. And yet I'm going to do it here. I just think that this is one of the weaker, amazing teams we've seen from the Chiefs. And that feels so silly to say. But again, 11 wins this year by 8 points or fewer. We are talking about them winning games because of weirdness with the Raiders, the Denver Broncos missing a field goal, the Chargers missing field goals. These are field goals they should have made. Like, just weird things have happened. Snap your fingers and have half those games go the other way. And I don't even know if this team is in the playoffs. Now, They are one of the best teams we've ever seen, ever. They are a dynasty. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback I've ever watched. They are inevitable. And, it's crazy that a 15-2 season is a bad one for them. But I have to take the Bills here. Statistically, they're better in so many categories. I think with the lone exception being third downs, I don't know. The Chiefs are actually really good on third downs. Next up, the Commanders. Their road ends here. It's another appearance by the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
I had them beating the Lions. That came true because of all the defensive stuff going on over there. But this defense is ready to go for Philly. The offense is a machine when it comes to running the football. Jalen Hurts is going to have to make 2 or 3 throws to win this game. They are in Philly. I know that the Commanders have beaten these guys already. That was at home, though. It's not happening. It's over for the Commanders. Great year, though.
The Commanders' road ends here. Trump is boarding. Curtis, are you?
I am boarding. I think the Commanders, while a valiant effort to make it this far, I just think the Eagles have too much firepower everywhere on their roster. I don't think they lose to the Commanders on Sunday. So I'm boarding that train. Yeah, Washington sees their season end. It's another Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl. Just what was it, 2 years ago? That was the Super Bowl.
Oh God,
We're
if it's
gonna
an
see it again.
Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl, I think the Chiefs are winning. I don't know why. The Eagles are a more talented team. It's because I've seen it before.
Chiefs. You got to throw away stats at this point.
I know.
And
every time, I mean, even last year, I was like, no. Well, the Ravens are so good. Led the league in offensive and defensive DVOA.
Would you rather have an Eagles-Chiefs Super Bowl or a Commanders-Chiefs Super Bowl? Because I feel like the Eagles are going to give Kansas City a much harder time than Washington would.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, if it was a Commanders-Chiefs Super Bowl, I'd go the Chiefs are going to win a third Super Bowl. The Eagles are. Is this a more talented Eagles team than they were in their last meeting against the Chiefs?
I don't think their defense was incredible last time. They
Their
had
defense is good
70
this
sacks
year.
that year.
Yeah, they don't have nearly as many sacks, but I think they were number 1 in yards. I think.
Well, and offensively, they've added Saquon Barkley. They didn't have Saquon Barkley in that Super Bowl.
And the offensive line is still stellar. It just doesn't have Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
What am I even doing here? Eagles are in the Super Bowl. I'm boarding this train.
What are you doing? That's what your bracket says, right? What's your bracket say?
I have Buffalo Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The Beagles.
The Beagles.
I took the Beagles. Then I took Buffalo winning, but so did Matt. He ruined everything. Next hype train. Jimmy Butler is not having a great time with Miami Heat. He already was suspended 7 days for conduct detrimental to the team. In December, he dyed his hair Phoenix Suns colors. He wore Phoenix Suns colors cleats. Message is clear. Trade me, please. He was just dealt another 2-game suspension, this time for missing a team flight. This is your hype train. Jimmy Butler gets his wish and will be traded to the Suns before the February 6th deadline.
Here's the thing about that is a lot needs to happen. Bradley Beal needs to drop his no trade clause. Who's to say that he doesn't want to stay in Phoenix? But Miami's a good place. Miami. Have you been to Miami?
Mm-mm.
It's an interesting place. And you feel like a young man would want to spend some time in Miami. A young single man would want to spend some time in Miami. But it's the stubbornness of Pat Riley that gets me. I think Pat Riley could be like, nah, you're staying here for the end of the year, and then we'll talk offseason just in spite to make him stay. But I think that I think it gets done. I think that you don't want someone on your team who doesn't want to be on your team, man. Go ahead and keep fining them, keep suspending them, and then try to move them.
Jimmy Butler gets his wish and is traded to the Suns before the deadline. Curtis?
Borden. Yeah. Jimmy Butler.
Borden.
Yeah, he's on his way to Phoenix. I mean, Bump? You said he was already wearing like Phoenix colored shoes the other night.
Crazy.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's just this kind of player. Things go well with him for a couple of years, and then he pouts his way out of town. He did it in Minnesota. He did it in Philly. He's doing it now in Miami, and he'll probably do it in Phoenix as well. But yeah, he's going to Phoenix. Absolutely.
All right, next and last hype train into the station. You understand the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni situation.
Yeah, I do. You caught me up.
Proud of you.
Yeah, that was it took a lot. It took the whole break.
It took the whole break.
There's a lot of layers to this thing.
But it was time well spent, I think.
Yeah, I think you broke it down for me.
Yeah.
expeditiously.
Thank you.
I saw it. I felt it.
Yeah.
And now I can catch Paul Moyer up when I see him on Sunday, if you haven't already.
I did, but a very brief. You have way more information than he does. You shouldn't tell him I told you. You should go up and be like, you don't know about this?
Oh, what?
What?
You want the deets?
Yeah. Oh, I got it. Curtis, are you boarding this train? Do you think that you understand what's going on in this very complex, weird, unimportant situation?
I cannot confidently board that train. I just know that the two of them are beefing. It started with Justin Baldoni getting mad at Blake Lively. She's since countered. I don't really know what their beef is over. They had some disagreements, but
can be changing stuff, man.
Yeah.
I think that kind of is the gist of it. At least that's what I'm understanding.
Rich
I don't
people
know
problems.
Yeah.
He's not really included in that. Like, he was a far lesser known actor. But hearing her side of things, I'm just like, this is a rich people world I can't comprehend.
Weird.
I do think I understand it, but I'm struggling to keep my head above water here.
Well, if you don't understand it, I don't understand
Well,
it.
no, I'm saying there's new things coming out every day. Don't worry, I'll get you caught up in the break again. Get your questions in for What I Need to Know. Send your question to the Mac and Jack's text line 866-979-3776.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
We've been going position group by position group. We move on to safeties, Dave. So you got Julian Love, who's entering the first year of a 3-year extension. He had a great season. You got Kobe Bryant in the final year of his rookie deal. Rayshon Jenkins is the most likely cap casualty here because he's got a $7.9 million cap hit. And if they release him, they save $5.4 million. He had some plays, but he didn't have $7.9 million cap hit plays.
I agree. On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare cancellation guide absolutely free.
Call 800-838-6161. That's 800-838-6161. 800-838-6161.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin D3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
I don't feel so good.
You do feel hot. Dayquil Kids will take care of that fever.
What about my cough?
Dayquil Kids has that covered.
Will it make my throat feel better?
Yes, that too.
But will it taste good?
Yep, Dayquil Kids comes in your favorite flavor.
Purple?
Well, yes, it's grape.
Try new Dayquil Kids Plus Fever, the daytime coughing, aching, sore throat fever just for kids medicine. Safe for kids 6+. Use as directed.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/radio and use code radio for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/radio and use code radio at checkout.
Hey, sell your car to Wayscar Ford, and when they resell it, they share half their profit with you. That's right. Sell your car to Wayscar Ford in Auburn. They'll pay you today for your car, and once they resell it, they'll share half their profit with you. Go to wayscarford.com for complete details.
Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest. The best place to watch all your favorite sports. Featuring wall-to-wall viewing screens, 6 windows, and 30 kiosks. Be there at emeraldqueen.com. Emerald Queen Casino, the entertainment capital of the Northwest.
Bring on the sunshine with a trip to see your Seattle Mariners. Come to sunny and warm Peoria, Arizona for another great year of spring training baseball. There's no better time to wind up at the Peoria Sports Complex, where you can see all your favorite Mariners up close. Spring training in Peoria has plenty of sunshine, warm temperatures, and the best seats in baseball. It's family fun for all ages. Book your trip today. Support your Seattle Mariners in Arizona for another exciting spring training season. Get your tickets at PeoriaBaseball.com.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
For many of us, it's happening. Your hair is thinning. Your crown is disappearing. Hair loss had me feeling like I was losing my identity altogether. Well, I've got some good news. It's a simple one-day treatment that worked for me. The Advanced FUE from Advanced Hair. It starts growing new hair the very next day, and it's guaranteed to grow for life. We've all seen the pills and lotions that come with monthly memberships. Those can help retain what you have. But what if you want your own natural hair in specific areas like I did? You decide how much, how thick, and where. From Advanced Hair's state-of-the-art facilities to the world-class leading doctors like Dr. Perungo, it's not a maybe your hair will grow. It's guaranteed that your new hair will grow. For your free consultation, $250 off and 250 free hair grafts, call 425-449-8185. Advanced Hair is the winner of the 425 Business of the Year, and they are the team that I personally recommend. That's 425-449-8185 or advancedhair.com.
Swedish Cyberknife has been serving the Pacific Northwest with innovative and compassionate care since 2006. The Cyberknife system, with advanced tracking technology and robotic design, keeps the radiation on target even with tumor or patient movement. Being able to precisely and accurately deliver radiation makes a difference in terms of controlling cancer and reducing the risk of side effects. And the treatment is completed in only 5 sessions, lasting less than an hour. But the technology is only half the story. The skilled and dedicated team of providers and caregivers match the technology by providing unparalleled, personalized treatment plans and compassionate care. They are committed to patient-focused care, partnering with the patient and their families. The results speak for themselves. Patient surveys consistently give Swedish Cyberknife the highest of rankings. When diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment with Swedish Cyberknife. Swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio,
this is Bumpin' Stacy.
Weekdays 10 to 2
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
It's what I need to know. Get your questions into the, oh my God, the question that just came into the text line. This is the dumbest question, but one I loved. 866-979-3776. I'm going to start with that one. It's not a sports question. You get one sauce all time, go. One.
Campfire.
Wow.
Oh, that is good sauce.
That's your answer.
Red Robin campfire sauce.
It is a good choice. It is a good choice. It's just a little bit, it's not out of left field.
It's campfire. You can put that thing, you can put on everything.
It's just kind of like, you know, a little quirky.
A little quirky.
You know, it's not one of the classics is what
I think
I'm saying.
I'm going Chick-fil-A sauce.
What?
Which is kind of like campfire sauce.
Okay, fine. I'm going one sauce all time. One sauce to rule them all.
Ketchup.
So
She's gonna pick aioli.
No, it's not going to be ketchup. It's not going to be barbecue sauce. It's not going to be
aioli.
It's not going to be garlic aioli, which I do really like.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to go
hollandaise.
Now,
ranch.
Dipping, honey mustard. If I'm going like you only give me one sauce that I can use as a condiment to cook everything, to do everything.
That was the question.
Soy sauce.
Soy sauce.
You have to think of like what you want. Like, you can't dip. You can't go fries or anything that you'd normally dip in. But cooking wise, that lets you do way more.
Yeah, true.
But honey mustard would technically be my answer if we're thinking sauce that you're getting with your fries.
This is some notebook. What do you want? What do you want?
Honey mustard. Honey mustard. Honey
now,
mustard.
does this mean you can't have anything with tomato sauce on it ever again? No pizza. No, pasta.
I'll say that you only ever, no, I mean, the texture didn't specify, but I'll say, like, you can only ever just have anything that would have a condiment. Like, if you're getting fries, if you're getting anything, you dip it in.
With that one.
Yeah. So,
you're dipping your fries in soy sauce? That's a lot
No,
of salt.
that's why I didn't end up including it. I was trying to think too broadly. I was trying to think of, like, meal prep and cooking things.
You
but
overthought it.
I did. Honey mustard is my final answer. So we have campfire sauce, Chick-fil-A sauce, honey mustard. Interesting. What I need to know. I know Gino's camp has approached the Hawks wanting a contract. Can we expect to hire an OC before we expect an update on Gino?
I would like that. Because the OC will place a certain value on Geno Smith. Or maybe Mike McDonald's is non-negotiable. He's on the squad. This is what it is. So, but no, for clarity, I would like an OC before the contract.
Same. And I also think that's what we'll get because I think that'll happen sooner than we think. I know it doesn't feel like it because every day is like, are we serious? But we could hear about one tomorrow. What I need to know. Why is it MLB picks All-Stars for half a season when the All-Stars from the previous season should play in the current season's All-Star game, so the players are based on complete seasons, not just a half? So they're saying, why doesn't the All-Star game include the last half of the previous season plus the first half of the season?
Because that's too much for voters to think about.
Yeah.
And you have some new players that have emerged.
Yeah.
I do think it's fair to be like, why are our all-star votes based on half a season?
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of time between the last season and the current season.
Well, also, you think you're going to get all these great players together to play an exhibition game after they've played 162 games? No way.
Yeah. I wonder what the sharpest drop-off barring injury has ever been for an all-star in the first and second half of the season.
Remember Ty France?
Daniel Vogelback.
Oh.
Yeah. Ty France,
Ty France had a rough one,
yeah. Let's see.
You say Kikuchi?
Yes.
God, he was
and the only
awful.
representative, too. So
Yeah.
it's like the only representative there just fell off. What I need to know. If we keep Gino and keep DK, is there any room to improve from there? I'm guessing they mean money-wise.
At receiver, yeah, because Lockett's going to be, we're assuming he's not going to be on the team. So you free up some cap space there and get a receiver.
Yeah, and I think there is a fairness to the argument about like an expensive quarterback or expensive other players keep you from adding players. But every team has some kind of bloated contract on their salary cap, some kind of expensive player. Many teams have expensive veteran quarterbacks. It's kind of what every team has to work with. You're not the only team in the world that's like, we're really paying this guy more than I wish we were. So good GMs find ways to work around it. It's not easy. But, let's see. 866-979-3776. What movie can you watch over and over and over again?
He Got Game.
Maybe I don't like my answer's embarrassing. I was going to say Harry Potter.
I've never watched a Harry Potter.
That you can easily be forgiven for that. Cool. Wow, you guys are so cool. Curtis, what's your answer?
Probably Creed.
Yeah, that's a good one.
866-979-3776. It's just people sending in sauces. Please send in questions. I don't care what sauce you like. I hate to
425
I hate to be so blunt.
strongly against mustard.
Oh, they texted me in all caps and said mustard is the worst, not only as a condiment, but food thing ever. And to that, I would just say, I said honey mustard.
Exactly.
It's still in the mustard
but
family.
it's different,
Yeah,
though. That thing
but-
is sweet.
It's in the mustard family, but in a way where you're like, they might share a last name, but they're incredibly different people. You know? Honey
It's like
mustard.
The Deschanel sisters.
There's a world where you hate mustard and like honey mustard. Very different flavors. What I need to know. God. When are the Sonics coming back?
Tomorrow.
I wish I knew. Yeah, tomorrow.
Meet me at at Climate.
We're getting a team together.
What superhero would you be?
Oh, you already know.
Who?
Black Panther in his piece. What you
yeah.
talking about?
What if that was my answer? What if I said, hello, T'Challa? That's what I would like to be. You know, I mean, Superman is like an easy one. Who has the coolest powers? Yeah, duh. Iron Man's rich, so I don't know a lot about superheroes. I'm sure he has a cool suit, but mostly you are now a billionaire.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You know what I mean? I'm going to choose, like, Bruce Wayne's a little too tortured. Like, I don't want the trauma that comes with his life, so I'll go Iron Man because I get all the stuff that comes with being rich. Like, I'm going to superhero 15% of the time, and then the rest of the time I'm going to be at my mansion.
Okay.
You know?
Like that.
I'm going to take a lot of call-in days.
A lot of calling days.
Call the rest of the Avengers. Yeah, PTO, I'm out again. I'm so sorry. Let's see. 866-979-3776. Recommendation for the best burger you've ever had?
Best burger. There's one by Roosevelt High School. Oh, what is it called? Go ahead. Let me look for it. I have to
Curtis,
find this.
best burger you've ever had?
Ever had?
Ever.
One that stands out around here, it's in Federal Way, called Burger Express. Really good burger.
The person who texted in all caps mustard is the worst just added, you can still taste the mustard. I love the anti-mustard campaign from this listener.
I got it. Rain City Burgers. Those things are so good. Little mom and pop on the corner right down the street from Roosevelt High School. Bomb. Rain City Burgers.
I don't eat burgers. I'll just let your guys' answers.
You don't eat burgers at all?
You guys are disappointed with me every day.
No burger for
Stacy?
Stacy?
I'll eat them, but like I don't remember the last time I had one.
Well, that's
What was
different
your
than you don't
favorite-
eat it.
What was your favorite burger growing up?
I didn't eat burgers growing up. I didn't like ketchup or mustard or mayonnaise or relish or pickles.
Did you like food?
Chicken nuggets.
Fake chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Don't go to me for food opinions. Just don't do it.
I'm glad you've finally realized that.
I have
For
other
all
opinions
these
that are good.
years.
This has been Bump and Stacy. If you missed any part of the show or if you loved it so much you need to hear more, make sure you check out the Bump and Stacy podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google Play, or seattlesports.com. Thank you again to Ray Roberts and NFL Network's Isaiah Stanback for joining us today. If you missed those interviews, check them out on the Bump and Stacy podcast. Wyman and Bob coming your way next.